Well, welcome on in on a Friday edition of the program, January 9th, 2026. Big news today. The Miami Hurricanes advanced. They beat Ole Miss in the Fiesta Bowl yesterday. A touchdown with 18 seconds remaining. Carson Beck leading them right down the field. And Miami returning to the national championship for the first time since 2002-2003, in which that was a period of time in which Miami won 5 titles in 18 years. Haven't been back since. Everybody's been waiting to see if the U is going to be back, and I think we've already been there, but I think we are definitely there now after yesterday's charade. So congratulations to Miami, and that is going to be a superb game regardless of who they play tonight, because you still got Indiana and Oregon going at it today at the Peach Bowl up in Atlanta. Miami's already set. They're going to have an extra day. Ole Miss is officially eliminated. Lane Kiffin can now take all those staff members that have 1 foot in, 1 foot out on the door. He can take them all over to LSU. And we got you for the next 3 hours today as we are live here from Hard Rock Casino down in Hollywood, and because we are at the kickoff to the championship hosted by the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel right here in Hollywood, Florida, where we're going to have a watch party tonight for Indiana and Oregon. A lot of the Orange Bowl committee will be in town, will be present, and with this national championship coming down to South Florida in just about 10 or so days, what better way to celebrate than have all the Orange Bowl folk come on down here a little later on, including the Pouncey brothers, who both famously played on the Florida National Championship teams and both had prestigious long careers in the NFL. We'll talk to them a little later on. Jack Seiler, former mayor of Fort Lauderdale, will join us, Orange Bowl committee member himself. Colin Russo and Mike Rizzo. We got Christian Catt back at the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach as we are down in Hollywood. We got you for the next 3 hours, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm, ESPN South Florida. Mike, your initial reaction to Miami taking down Ole Miss once and for all yesterday and moving on to the national championship?
Well, it was Beck's signature moment. Let's not get that twisted. The drive that Carson Beck went on, the rushing touchdown that he was able to have, and kind of his, I don't want to say come-out party because it was a huge win when Miami beat Ohio State. But last night with that drive, with him being the guy to kind of spearhead them down the field, we didn't really know if he was capable of that. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't think Carson Beck was capable of orchestrating a drive like that. If you've seen Miami throughout the college football playoff, they've done it at the line of scrimmage. They've done it with Fletcher. They've done it with their stable of running backs, dominating the defensive line, dominating the opposing offensive line. You saw that a little bit last night, but Beck was the story. And watching it post-game, hearing him talk, hearing Mario Cristobal talk, I think this Miami team truly is playing as one. And Cristobal specifically talked about going 1-0. They got to get back to work.
Did he
I liked
say
all
enough
that
times?
stuff.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God, he said it every 5 seconds, even with SVP. SVP's thinking, Mario, we know, 1-0 every week. Give me something else.
Yep.
It was quite funny on SportsCenter late at night.
But Beck, I thought the story was Beck, and I also think that Ole Miss played their butts off. I don't think they need to hang their head at all.
You led the game with 1.5 minutes to go.
I thought they represented the SEC well. I wasn't under the assumption that an SEC team was, up to snuff this year, but certainly Chambliss, Ole Miss, Lacey, and even their defense stepped up at times as well. So great game. I mean, that was one of the best college football playoff games. Putting my bias aside, Kyle, that was one of the best college football playoff games I've seen in a little bit. That really was. And I think 2 quarterbacks duking it out in the fourth quarter. I mean, how many points did we have in that fourth quarter?
He had 4 lead changes there in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game.
It was well worth staying up late, and I hope tonight's game's like that, not to get ahead of ourselves. But certainly Ole Miss stepped up, and Beck, though, truly being the storyline for the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, Miami moving on to the national championship, which will be next Monday at Hard Rock Stadium. So technically a home game, and they're going to play a Big Ten representative team in one of Oregon or Indiana. Miami, hey, they went to Arizona and definitely an Ole Miss crowd. If you watched the game, if you were at the game, you definitely noticed the Ole Miss faithful really dominated the scene there in terms of traveling fan base. So they went into sort of a hostile environment, and they were able to control the game for the most part. Miami was playing with their food a little bit. I agree. It was a game they thoroughly outplayed Ole Miss, if we're going to be completely honest with you. They did outplay them throughout the game. And it was one of those situations where Ole Miss, they had that little bend, don't break mentality, stay in the game, keep it close. Miami is controlling both lines of scrimmages. Every first down run went seemingly above 5 yards. They controlled the game offensively. Miami just had a couple hiccups here with penalties that killed drives. And up until that final, if you want to include the last drive where he had the bomb to Tony, fine. But really up until that last drive, down 27-24 with four minutes to go, outside of that, Miami protected Beck the entire game. Third and long, they didn't even bother. It's second and long. They made sure to just control the sticks. They had a game plan, and they stuck to it. Until that final drive, the game plan was give the ball in screens, end arounds, inside zones, north and south. Let the offensive line dominate. Mark Fletcher was excellent, especially against the secondary of Ole Miss, who couldn't tackle to save their lives the entire game. Oh, my gosh, did they miss tackle after tackle after tackle after tackle. That's a testament to Miami's players. But they talked about it in the broadcast a number of times, how Ole Miss is one of the worst tackling teams in the SEC. You saw that seemingly every drive.
Yep, and the defense, Pete Golding, the new head coach of Ole Miss, is a defensive guy.
Yeah, you don't love how he performed.
I'm sure he was at his wit's end, I'm sure, at the end of that game. Colin, I think the game, I don't want to say became fun because it was a close game throughout, but the game flipped over when Beck threw that tipped interception. I thought after that tipped interception, we got truly, the game clock, 15 minutes of theater. I thought we got a full quarter of theater after that Beck interception. And I give Miami's defense credit, too. Outside of the busted run by Lacey, by the way, what a running back that Lacey is.
One leg, essentially, too.
All right, and he's going to be coming back to Ole Miss next year, I believe, he's a true
sophomore, yeah.
We'll get into the news of John Blaze kind of and the struggles that are going on there, the NCAA denying him coming back. Ole Miss will appeal. But I do think that Miami's defense, outside of that busted run, played great for 3.5 quarters. And then the fourth quarter came. John Blaze started making plays with his legs. He started throwing to the sticks. The game really opened up after that Beck interception. And I think the Canes defense dropped about 5 interceptions. Is that safe to say? 4 or 5 interceptions. I mean, the one where John Blaze went deep, he threw it into double coverage, and I apologize. Maybe it was Thomas. I can't remember who it was. It landed in his breadbasket.
Oh, it was O'Connor.
He started running, and he forgot the football. So you saw a couple of that last night. I was talking to my good friend Doc Al over at Men's Way Medical, diehard Miami Hurricane fan. He texted me saying, Riz, we've dropped about 4 or 5 interceptions. I totally agree. And like you said, Miami played with their food for a little bit. They were in a tough spot with about minute 52 minutes to go. But Beck with the legendary drive and really proving me wrong and shutting up critics like myself that didn't think Carson Beck.
Us up. And I'm not I
didn't think Carson Beck could do that. That's the two things I want to make blatantly clear today. I didn't think Beck had that in his bag, and I also didn't think Ole Miss was going to play nearly as well as they did. I thought that was going to be a 24-10 game. It looked pretty. My score prediction looked pretty on target for a little bit. But that fourth quarter, man, one of the best fourth quarters we've seen in a college football playoff in recent memory.
Yeah, the second half was as good as it gets. You had multiple lead changes, 4 straight scoring possessions really to finish it outside of that final drive for Ole Miss. What you like about Miami is going into the game, the point was make Carson Beck take them down the field to beat you. That was the game plan. I still think if Indiana were to win today, that is going to be their game plan, is put Carson Beck in a position to beat you. But what did they do? They fell down 19-17 early in the fourth quarter, and they went right down the field in just about 3 minutes. With that busted coverage, they had a penalty. They had a 17-yard run with Fletcher. They ran down the field, essentially, and then had an busted coverage, got the lead immediately back. Then you give Ole Miss credit because they went right down the field themselves, a couple penalties here and there, both good calls in the pass interference and in the late hit, which gifted them about 25 yards. And then Ole Miss was able to score, maybe a little too early, with about 4 minutes to go, and Miami turns around and a surgical, that's all you can say. It was a surgical drive.
Yep.
You want to talk about the defensive pass interference on the left sideline when he yanked, or the face mask, I should say, when he yanked his helmet. Good call. So the refs were a little too involved there at the end, but a lot of those were good calls. And if you want to complain about the final play of the game being a pass interference, fine. But the bottom line would be Ole Miss would be at the 25-yard line, and they'd still need to
get in the end zone
with the last play of the game. They're not going to call that play. I could have listened to that. It would have made the game a little bit more interesting. You could make the argument that Ole Miss had another 45, 50 seconds on the clock. They could have done something with that drive. And a couple things cost them there because they missed a field goal earlier in the game, and that would have changed things on how they handled that final drive.
And also, Kyle, the red zone opportunity where they had to settle for 3.
They
right?
had 3 straight drives.
Yeah.
Because it was 17-10, and then all of a sudden it was 17-13, 17-16, and then 17-19.
Yep, the 17-16 where they had to settle for 3. You know, you and I, we were discussing in our group chat, do they go for 2? What are they going to do once they score the touchdown? Well, they never scored the touchdown, and they had to settle for 3 there. So missed opportunities for Ole Miss, but at the same time, man, you know, I didn't even give them a fighter's chance in the game with the line of scrimmage. And I do give credit a little bit to that Ole Miss offensive line, kind of holding Bain and Mesdador.
They nullified that defensive line. It was the defensive line of Ole Miss that really struggled.
Yeah.
That offensive line of Miami killed them. But I agree with you.
We knew that that was probably going to be the case.
Ole Miss's offensive line, you didn't hear Bain's name all night. And Mesdador, too. You didn't hear either of those 2 names. That defensive line, yes, it gave them problems here and there, a couple drives, but they did not wreck the game. They did not.
Yep, and give credit to Chambliss. I thought he did a good job of maneuvering around the pocket once the pressure came, and that was something that, you know, Julian Sain couldn't do for Ohio State. He'd go down like a sack of potatoes. Trinidad Chambliss was able to scramble around the pocket and still make plays, even with pressure in his face. Colin, what was it? I'm trying to think. That was the best game I've watched in that playoff. Like I said, bias aside.
Ole Miss Georgia was a better game than that. You missed that game. That's where you screwed up. No, and Mike, you can't say anything. It was a better game. It was a better game. It was a more entertaining game. That was as entertaining of a game as I've seen.
Mike, you can't argue because you didn't watch it. I watched both. You watched both. I was more rooting for Miami in this game, and yes, Georgia Ole Miss better game.
That was an unbelievable game. That was an arcade game. It was bizarre. But nonetheless, I agree. Great game for the college football playoff. Wipe your hands, say thank you, because we rarely get that in this tournament, at least from last year. So, but in terms of Miami getting to the national championship yet again since the 2002-2003 season, this is going to be a very interesting game tonight because a couple things we'll get more into the Miami-Ole Miss game,
right?
But a couple good things have to happen here. I think there should be Miami fan, not Miami fan. Everybody should be rooting for Indiana here. Why? Because I think that's just what everybody's looking for in terms of a story, in terms of what the game environment would look like, in terms of the storylines around the game. I don't think Oregon has nearly the amount of juice that Indiana does. And there's a lot of people under the impression that Oregon's going to show up and play well. It's going to be hard to beat that team twice. But having Indiana and Miami at Hard Rock Stadium, Indiana the better team, the older team, the experienced team, but Miami having the benefit of being on their home field, I think that sort of evens out a little bit. You're hoping that's going to be a competitive game. And to really put a finish on it, the story of that game, like you said, is Carson Beck shutting everybody up.
Yep.
Having his moment, because I'd even make the argument, first 3.5 quarters, they completely protected Beck. Same thing they did against A&M, same thing they did against Ohio State. It was, do not let Carson Beck blow this game up. That was what the game plan was, and to their credit, it worked because their offensive line was dominating. Mark Fletcher was dominating. They could have ran the screens and the inside runs for the entire game, and they would have been fine. There were moments in time where they were throwing it. They didn't even need to.
Yeah.
You're thinking there, guys, you don't even need to throw it.
And I thought that I was very critical of the screen passes consistently going for 8 to 10 yards. You're telling me you're going to throw to the sideline all game and not figure that out if you're Pete Golding and the Ole Miss defense?
Secondary could not tackle their lives.
That was Malachi Toney I give him a lot of credit. He's probably one of the most explosive players in the country. I mean, that touchdown that he housed, I could argue there's probably him and Jeremiah Smith. Those are the only 2 players that are probably taking that to pay dirt. But at the same time, I did think Ole Miss's defense, I know I kind of gave them their flowers earlier, but there are a couple of plays where, like, my God, you know what they're going to do.
Most of the game.
You know what they're going to do.
Very frustrating defense to watch.
And that's but that's why you give credit to Miami, too, because you know what they want to do, and you're still probably not going to be able to stop it a lot of the times with the inside runs and the wide receiver screens. So, the offensive line, that's what Mario Cristobal's bread and butter is. I mean, he played offensive line. He coached the offensive line with Nick Saban. So, listen, you tip your cap, but at the same time, Pete Golden and that Ole Miss defense got a lot of tape to watch.
Are you buying the Mario Cristobal persona he's put on here the last couple of weeks? Where he's drilling it into your head every time you talk to him, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Maybe he's locked in.
It's working. It's working.
I guess it's working.
I'll say
it's a little tiresome for me.
Mario, before this college football playoff, he was known for blowing the big one, right? That's been the thing. Miami, it was not able to win the big game. They weren't able to get over the hump.
Well,
I mean, Kyle, they won three big games.
They lose bad games.
Here's my thing.
Lose bad games is different than
there you go.
the big game.
But they've won three. For me, they've won three big games in a row. He's clearly doing something right.
Oh, I'm not doubting him as a coach.
Yeah, he's clearly, I think, doing something right with this. And if that 1-0 mentality, if that's working, brother, I'd be hammering the same thing.
You should go listen to him and SVP after the game from the field, because SVP was getting frustrated.
Sure.
With he was trying to get something out of him, and Mario Cristobal's coach speaking his way through the interview, and maybe they were poking fun at each other, but he was sitting there like, Coach, we know 1-0. You know what? I picked up on that part. I understand you're trying to go 1-0 here. Talk about what it means for Miami, and Cristobal, I call it locked in. He just wasn't giving him anything.
And I think he knows. And listen, I know we're going to talk about that Oregon-Indiana game. I think he knows how good Indiana is too. I think he's not trying to put himself in his shoe by saying something, and he's trying to let the team know, like, listen, we got to the national championship. We have a home game. Let's make sure that we're ready to go against a really good team, if it be Indiana or Oregon.
Miami fans should root for Indiana in this game?
No, they should root for Oregon.
Because they want an easier path?
Yeah. You want to win a national championship. You want I don't want to spoil too much because we got 3 hours to talk about all this, Kyle, but I do think Indiana, it pains me to say this, I think there's probably a changing of the guard coming in the Big Ten, and I think Indiana is probably going to dominate here for the next couple of years.
I'm curious about this game. I agree. I think Indiana will win. We'll get into it, but there's something about beating that team twice, and maybe there was a little Oregon took them for granted that first time around.
I also think that this is a different Indiana team that was at Outson, that won at Outson. That I think that win that they had at Oregon gave them the confidence they needed throughout the rest of the season to beat Ohio State and to beat Alabama.
Maybe Oregon didn't buy them into going into that game.
Right.
And now they definitely do.
Well, and with Cignetti, that game, Cignetti proved that he could win it. Remember, with Indiana, they lost Ohio State, they lost Notre Dame. Oh, you don't play any schedule. You're afraid to play a big-time team. You've never beat a big-time team. And then they went to Oregon and beat Oregon. And they've beaten every big team that they faced after that.
In the Fiesta Bowl yesterday, you have problems with the officiating?
No, I don't.
That's the last play of the game with the pass interference. There's no doubt it was pass interference. You have a problem with them swallowing the whistle on that one?
Probably. It probably should have been pass interference, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, it's weird how we play the end of games.
I don't mind it,
agree.
though. I don't mind it.
I sort of lean on the side of referees should swallow their whistle, let the boys play last play of the game. But there's a level to it in which the players know that, and therefore you're going to have your most handsy and your most physical play of the game on the final play.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's fair to the offensive team when the defense can do that. But to the same token, referees rarely call holdings on the final play of the game.
Yeah.
Ask Notre Dame about that final play against Texas A&M on fourth down in South Bend on that holding calls that they swallowed, and Notre Dame suffered their second loss and probably the loss that held them out of the playoff because of it. It happens both ways. So you can't just say it's a defensive thing and it's an offensive thing. The referees do that. I feel like there's just a time and a place. There's got to be a level in which they're like, all right, we have to throw something.
Yep, and Pete Golding, head coach for Ole Miss, said after the game, that's not the reason they lost the game. You know,
absolutely not.
That's not the reason you
lost the game. The reason they lost the game is defense couldn't get a timely stop.
And you also pointed out that this isn't the NFL where it's a spot foul, guys. You know, it's
still going to be at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, and you're still going to have to go 25 yards to get into the back of the end zone against arguably the top defense, one of the top defenses in the country.
Yeah, it's weird because the keys to that game, from a Miami perspective, and was definitely the offensive line. Beckett all day.
Yep.
Beckett, especially in that first half. Oh, my goodness, did he have all day. That was the key to the game there. And on the other side of things, Ole Miss's key to losing that game was their defense. Could their defense show a little fight? You know, they actually in the first half get lucky with a couple drives there to get a couple timely stops. Even in the third quarter, a couple penalties helped them. You know, holding penalties, all of that.
Well, the Miami defense started beating themselves a little bit, something we didn't see up until that point.
They got rattled. That final drive, Ole Miss going down the field to take a 27-24 lead, that was when Miami had the late hit, completely avoidable. That was not them, that's just them being frustrated. And the other one was a pass interference, which was on, I believe, fourth down. That was a good call. But the weird part about it is All Ole Miss needed was one stop. It's weird. And I'll be honest, I was rooting for Ole Miss in this game. I like the Magic, and part of me wants to spike Lane Kiffin just as much as that roster does.
Are you buying the nice guy act that Lane pulled on social media
No.
after?
No.
Neither am I.
He's going to play tough guy now that the team lost. But that that was a gutsy performance. They haven't had a gutty performance like that, not that I can remember with Kiffin. Not that I can remember. You want to go to a game that Kiffin coached? Go to that Georgia game where it was drive for drive until the fourth quarter, and they didn't complete a pass for the entire quarter.
I don't think any of us expected it. I know
that was a gutsy performance. I walk away from that. I'm impressed with Miami. They continue to prove me wrong, and I am willing to admit that. But I walk away from that just as impressed with Ole Miss.
Yeah, and you think they're going to have some momentum heading into next year. Pete Golding is going to be able to get a staff there. He's going to try to get his quarterback back.
They talked about it during the broadcast. They had Wilson, the former LSU interim head coach, who's going to be a new member on the staff for Ole Miss. He was on the sideline. The guy had a week and a half with the new team, and he's coaching.
Yep. And
they did that with the ECU. They hired the ECU offensive coordinator to take over the offensive coordinator for Charlie Weiss Jr., who's going to go to, I believe, LSU. And he was on the sideline too, helping out the team because they lost their tight ends coach, the wide receivers coach, and the running backs coach. You're sitting there like, these guys have had 10 days to tops.
And it wasn't, and I'll tell you what, it was a good game plan. I thought offensively, I know they struggled to
they struggled
get
in the first half of the game.
But
it
was a good game plan to neutralize the big.
They get a first down for the entire first quarter.
But I think it was a good game plan in neutralizing the defensive line for Miami.
That was 100% agree.
I mean, I think they watched hours on hours on event.
We'll field position this game as long as they don't wreck it.
I really like it. And I sit here as an Ohio State guy, like, how the hell is a staff that's able to have 10 days, really a staff that was put together with glue and masking tape, how the hell were they able to put together a game plan than Ryan Day? I sit here wondering that.
888-760-3776. Live from Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino down here in Hollywood, Florida. Russo and Rizzo. 888-760-3776, number to get into the program. If you're Miami, who are you rooting for tonight? You rooting for Oregon? You want the big game? Do you want to play the big bad? Are you confident you can beat anybody? You root for Indiana? You root for Oregon? At Hard Rock Stadium for the national championship? Let us know. 888-760-3776. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. It's Russo and Rizzo taking the time out here on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Long ago, the seas be whispering tales of the lost loot. A treasure so rare it shows itself but once each turn of the sun. All this searching, and I found it. Publix. This be where X marks the spot?
Discounted tickets, limited time.
South Florida Fair. Discount tickets are on sale now at Publix and online at southfloridafair.com. Advance tickets can save you more than half, so get them before they vanish on January 15th.
Limited time deal.
Hey guys, Mike Rizzo here. I know you're moving soon. Don't stress it. Call Good Greek for your total relocation solution. From packing and storage to local and long-distance moves, Spiro and his team at Good Greek Moving and Storage has you covered from start to finish. Trusted by families, businesses, and teams like the Heat and the Hurricanes for over 2 decades. Make your next move simple, safe, and stress-free.
Good Greek Moving and Storage. Your superhero movers.
Kaiser University's flagship campus, the 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees within the heart of South Florida. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 27 national championships, including their 3rd championship in women's soccer. Visit KUCHawks.com for the latest on the championship athletic programs at Kaiser University.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
What's the Anajar Levine difference? When you're injured in a car crash, we focus on your case so you can focus on the one thing that matters most. getting better. I'm Glenn Levine with Anajar Levine. We'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. We'll help you take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
In office, West Palm Beach.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
You know, if you're a Miami fan and you have a doctor that's an Ole Miss fan, you can't bear to go see him, and you can't even look him in the eyes, or an Indiana fan for that matter. You can go right down the street, South Dixie Highway. You can go see Meds Only Medical and see a real Miami fan, Doc Al.
Absolutely, Colin. That's North Dixie
North
Highway.
Dixie Highway.
For Meds Only Medical and Doc Al. But listen, Colin hit the nail on the head. Doc Al's a local guy. Went to Cardinal Newman High School. He's a big Miami Hurricane fan. His father was a doctor as well here in West Palm Beach. And folks, Doc Al runs the one-stop shop for men. It is the men's health clinic, the only of its type in West Palm Beach. You know, you look around town, you see all these women clinics, all these women health facilities for women that focus on women. Well, this is a one-stop shop for all of us men. What I'm doing with Doc Al, I'm focusing on the nutrition and weight loss management program. I'm trying to get down to, you know, folks, back when I was in my mid-20s, when I was about $185. I got a couple more pounds to go here, and I'm doing that all with Doc Al. See what Doc Al could do for you. I mean, if you have hair loss, Doc Al has state-of-the-art equipment to get your hair back. And you're going to have to ask Doc Al about all of the crazy things that they have over there when it comes to skin assessment. You know, Colin jokes around how my skin was a petri dish of filth. But we were able to clean that up, and we were able to find that out over with Doc Al at Men's Only Medical. State-of-the-art heart cardiovascular technology. I did the EKG test where I could see exactly how my ticker is pumping. The Staiku body fat test where you get your body fat measured. You can know exactly what you're dealing with and where you want to be. Do that out with Doc Al over at Men's Only Medical. And also, folks, if you're a weekend warrior and you hit it too hard, you know, you hit the weekend too hard, you get liquid IVs at Men's Only Medical. It is the concierge healthcare service with Doc Al. And if you see Doc Al around town today, give him a go Canes, because he's floating after Miami's playing for a national championship.
Miami now advancing to the national championship, which will be next Monday, about 10 days from now, at the Orange Bowl at Hard Rock Stadium right here in South Florida. So Miami gets kind of a pseudo home game. A couple interesting facts I saw about that game. Number one, the ACC does not profit share if you advance in the college football playoff. Yep. So Miami essentially pockets $20 million for advancing to that game. That's on top of the other. They get like $8 million for one game, and then I think $10 million for the next game. So they just pocketed about $45 million. And another thing, they get $3 million in travel expenses. But Miami, since it's a home game, pocketed.
Yep.
So how about that? So that's about $23 to $25 million that Miami is basically receiving because of this game.
And obviously, so that money isn't all going to go to the football team. You know what I mean? It's going to be distributed. Miami's got a lot of athletics and a lot of very good athletics. But let's be honest with ourselves. That's going to be a couple of players in the transfer portal. That's going to be retaining a couple of players on this current roster. You see around the country right now with how many – I mean, Auburn has lost 32 kids to the portal. Ohio State has lost 25 kids to the portal. Money is a big thing right now, and Miami just got a huge upgrade with all that ACC stuff. Now, Colin, and I apologize for putting you on the spot if you don't know this, was that part of the agreement that the ACC and teams like Florida State and Clemson came to it? Remember when those teams were beefing with the ACC?
So that's about TV contract revenue.
Okay.
So what Florida State and Clemson were arguing was, we are big programs that demand big ratings, and we're always going to be your top game. Because of that, we deserve more of a share of the revenue agreement, because usually these teams get paid evenly. Rutgers makes the same amount as Ohio State via the conference. So they're thinking that's not fair. We want more of a share because we could go to the SEC and make twice the money, because the ACC schools, I believe, make I want to say in the realm of 20-some-odd million, which is 20, maybe high 20s, 28, 30. And SEC teams make about 50, and Big Ten teams, I think, make more than that.
Yeah.
So because of that, that's part of the reason why they have a separate agreement with the ACC. As for why the ACC doesn't get a cut of this, I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. Maybe the ACC was thinking, I didn't know any team was capable of being there. I didn't know any team was capable of going to this game.
I think Miami needs to look into what Florida State and Clemson were doing because they're mudded. I mean, listen, I hope Florida State comes back. Actually, no, I don't hope Clemson comes back, but I hope Florida State comes back. And I hope they could be relevant. But Miami, can you imagine, like Colin, and listen, you tell me if this is a frozen take, but like, can you imagine if Virginia won and we didn't have Miami in the playoff?
Probably wouldn't have gotten in the game.
Can you imagine if
probably
Duke,
wouldn't have gotten in?
Can you imagine if Duke did not beat Virginia and we had to watch Virginia lose by about 1,000 points?
I'll die on this hill. I'm under the impression that regardless of what happened at BYU, I think Miami leapfrogging Notre Dame had more to do with ACC representation than it did having BYU get out of these situations.
And what's the Notre? I'm all over the place with names, by the way. But what the hell is the Notre Dame's AD? What's his name? Bavacqua?
Yeah, Pete Bavacqua.
And that was
maybe. I think you're
regardless,
right.
where I'm going with this is, if you remember, that was one of his big argument points, was that, of course the College Football Playoff Committee wanted this because the ACC is tied with ESPN, and ESPN has the College Football Playoff games. And that's what he was crying about, and that's what a lot of people had a lot of problems with, is that, Notre Dame was playing the woe is me card. And I totally agree. But listen, I'm very – And you know this, Colin, and Christian Cat back at the City Place studio knows this. I was on the Miami bandwagon all year long saying they're one of the top teams in the country and they could beat any team in the country. And they have proven that as they're marching their way back to South Florida to play for a national championship.
So one thing I'm thinking about is if Miami were to advance and win the national championship, when's the last time there was a 2-loss national champion in college football?
Ohio State last year.
They were 2 losses last year?
Michigan.
Good call.
Michigan and Oregon.
You're right. What about before that? Were there any in the college football playoff that come to mind?
Well, no, because
Alabama teams were 1 losses. Multiple.
Always.
There were Clemson teams.
Georgia's
they were undefeated that second year. Both years, I believe. They didn't lose for 2 years. And remember, they didn't lose on that third year. That was when Carson Beck lost the SEC championship game. I'm curious on that because Ohio State, the Cardell Jones year, that was a 1-loss team. Remember, 4-team playoff.
Tech, correct.
No 2-loss team ever got into the 4-team playoff.
No.
So that's one to consider. So I'm outside of Ohio State last year. That means you're gonna have 2 straight years.
All right, so I got a couple for you. 1960, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. 2007, LSU.
That's the Les
Miles.
But
listen,
Miles ones.
go back and look at the 07 year. It was one of the craziest years of college.
They had a lot of OT games, I think.
Brother, because I'm putting, you put yourself back where you were. I was 13 years old in 07. I remember saying to myself, after Ohio State beat Michigan, I said, I can't wait to play in the Rose Bowl. The Buckeyes had 2 losses that year already. I didn't think that they were going to go to the national championship. And then Rich Rodriguez's West Virginia Mountaineers lost to, I believe, UConn, the final game of the season in West Virginia, and that opened up the door for Ohio State and LSU to go to the national championship. That was crazy. And Florida lost that final week.
Yeah.
Remember, Florida had a chance to go to back-to-back national championships. They weren't able to do it. 07 was a crazy year. And then, obviously, last year I mentioned Ohio State. So those are the 3 teams, Minnesota, LSU, and Ohio State.
How about
Miami
that?
could be 4.
3 total teams in the history of college football, and since the expanded playoff, it will now be 2 for 2, potentially, on 2-loss teams winning the whole thing.
It just goes to show, like, how hard it is to stay perfect in college football.
I think
or
to build on that, how much it sort of alleviates these teams from the pressure of winning every single game. It's not the end of the world.
And also, Colin, I think the NIL has helped. You've mentioned how the NIL has helped even the playing field. I totally agree, too. It's why you're not seeing, Ohio State necessarily go undefeated every year. Even Alabama, I know Nick Saban left. They don't go undefeated every year. Like Georgia's lost
lost for 3 years. They've lost for 2.5 years.
and they lost 5 games in 2 years. They lost 2 regular season games this year. They lost 2 regular seasons a year before, and they lost in the college football playoff. How about that? I mean, But and that's maybe the beauty of the tournament because it gives you the leadway to lose 2 games. Now, you're going to have to win good games as well because, remember, Miami, as much as I'm waxing poetically about the Canes, and as well-deserved it is, they had 2 really bad losses, and we're the last team in the dance. And a lot of people were arguing that they shouldn't even have been in the dance. I wasn't one of those people, but you got to be careful. You got to make sure you have a couple of good wins, and if you're going to lose, you got to do it at the right time. You got to do them early. Right? And if you lose late, you better hope you have a couple of good wins against some top 25 teams. And conferences help with that, you know. Obviously, there's some bias with the Big Ten. There's some bias with the SEC, as we've clearly have seen. The SEC hasn't had a representation in a national championship game in 3 years. So I think clearly the game has changed. I like to think it's for the better. Other than this NIL business.
You know, the NIL, perfection around college football was rough because it was you eliminated teams in September. And that's not the right way to do it. They're not the right. You shouldn't be in the business of eliminating teams in the first 3 weeks of the season. That is not the right way to format the sport. It's the same reason that Miami can afford losses in the regular season and still get into the dance. There's a number that you can't pass. Recently, it's been that 2-loss number. You can't have more losses than that. But I think the fact is that you could have 2 for 2 national champions that have 2 losses. I think goes to show, like you said, the parity and how it's sort of spread apart. But also, I think college football has taken a step back from the perfectionism that it once was.
Yeah.
And that perfectionism, I think, honestly, was a hindrance on the product of the actual sport. Because it's impossible, like you said, to be perfect. And only the teams that could be perfect were the teams that were 1 through the 22 starting players on basically NFL players, 2 deeps are NFL players. They had 5 stars waiting in the wings. The fact is that you just have to put together a very good to great resume just to get in and get a chance. It's about peaking at the right time. It's not about the perfect season.
Off of that, go through when the 4-team playoffs started. It was controlled by 3 teams. It was Alabama, it was Clemson, and it was Georgia. And Colin hit the nail on the head. They had better rosters than everybody. You had Ohio State for 1 year. They were in the mix a couple of times, but that was it. I mean, it was controlled by 3 teams. I like what it's turned into, but we got to figure out the NIL. You can't have 40% of the kids in the portal. That's just it's not sustainable. It really is. I mean, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah.
I every time I look at my feed, a player is leaving. Every time I look at 20, and listen, I don't mind shouting them out. I think they're the best at what they do. 24/7 Sports. I use them all the time for recruiting when I'm looking at my favorite team and whatnot. Listen, you got to figure this out. You got to put a number on how many times someone can transfer. I don't know what it is you do. I don't get paid money to figure it out. But you got to figure it out because this is ridiculous. We had Chris Schwager on, the AD at Kaiser University, who is entrenched in college athletics, okay? You can't have 40% of the kids in the portal. You can't. It's just unsustainable. It's truly unsustainable on so many levels.
And good shout by my buddy Mark, who's listening. He said the one thing about the 2007 year that we forgot about, I thought it was 2005. I didn't have the year right. Was that it was the West Virginia year when Rich Rod went to Michigan and they lost a 2-9 Pitt at home, the backyard brawl game, and that's when they were undefeated and they needed 1 win to get to the BCS national.
I said that.
Did you?
Yeah, I said that. I thought it was UConn that they lost to.
It was Pitt.
But it was Pitt.
It was Pitt.
And if you remember, it was Pat White was the quarterback.
Yeah,
Steve
didn't he get
Slayton
hurt in that
was
game?
the running
and
back.
that's when he left to Michigan like 24 hours later.
Correct.
And then he said, I remember West Virginia never recovered after that. And I know he's back, which is weird.
Yep.
But he did say that, you can't win there.
Yeah,
That's the thing. You can't win there, and that's what sort of stung even more because it was Pitt. It was not UConn. It was Pitt.
Yep.
2-9
Yep.
they were. I just had to double check. I thought that was 2006, but unbelievable.
No, and then I mentioned Florida, too. Florida and West Virginia, the 2 teams that were supposed to play in the national championship game that year, they lost the final week of the season, which opened the door for LSU and opened the door for Ohio State, who both had 2 losses at the time.
How about that? 2 losses, potentially, for a national championship. Miami advances, plays the winner of the Peach Bowl, which is happening tonight, 7:30 ESPN on a Friday night. You have Indiana and Oregon, a rematch playing earlier in the year in Eugene. Indiana won that one. They are undefeated coming into this game. Oregon had one loss. They have beaten Texas Tech and James Madison, where Indiana has beaten Alabama at the Rose Bowl. Indiana's rolling in the right direction. Their average age is about 23 years old on their roster. For example, the Packers are 25 years old. So it's a team that is old, experienced. Multiple guys have played for multiple teams on multiple types of levels. A lot of JMU guys still there, and Kurt Signetti looking to put a cap on one of the greatest, most impressive college football turnarounds, sports turnarounds, and real rise to prominence as fast as you've ever seen it. You have a chance to see that with Indiana if they're able to win the next two. Whereas Miami looking to get back to the promised land after winning 5 titles in 18 years from, I believe, 83 to 2001. And they're looking to get back to that land once again after about 25 years. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Calling all sports fans, grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
Does your business leave a lasting impression? Attractive, eye-catching signs help you stand out from the crowd and create a strong brand identity. Our team at Signorama West Palm are experts in helping your business get noticed and get effective signage in front of your potential customers. Our team can turn your blank windows or plain vehicles into money-making branding machines by drawing customers' attention to your business. So if you're looking to leave that lasting impression, call us 561-687-7993 or visit SignoramawPB.com.
Colin, have you checked out Vitacost Sport Certified Marketplace?
Vitacost? I love Vitacost!
Right? It's a full online sports marketplace. Over 500 performance products from trusted brands like Vega, Thorne, Vital Proteins, and Muscle Milk, all free from banned substances.
So no guessing, no label scrubbing, just clean fuel to train harder and recover smarter.
You got it. And don't forget, save 20% with code ESPN20 at sportcertified.com.
Fuel clean, train smarter. Try Sports Certified by Vitacost today.
Ready to take on any terrain? The all-new Defender 110 P300S is here. Built for those who crave adventure without compromising on luxury. Lease the powerful Defender 110 P300S for just $849 per month for 36 months. Whether you're tackling the toughest roads or cruising the city, the Defender is ready for it all. Don't wait. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and experience the Defender like never before. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Hey guys, Mike Rizzo here. I know you're moving soon. Don't stress it. Call Good Greek for your total relocation solution. From packing and storage to local and long distance moves, Spiro and his team at Good Greek Moving and Storage has you covered from start to finish. Trusted by families, businesses, and teams like the Heat and the Hurricanes for over 2 decades. Make your next move simple, safe, and stress-free.
Good Greek Moving and Storage. Your superhero movers.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Flagler Credit Union.
Absolutely, folks. That's Flagler Credit Union. They offer personal and business banking options that help you manage your finances and simplify your banking needs. Since they are a non-for-profit cooperative, they charge less when you need to borrow some cash. Say you need a new car, say you need a home improvements, a vacation, whatever it may be. Think of Flagler Credit Union. They have 4 convenient locations all across Palm Beach County: Boca Raton, Lake Clark Shores, North Palm Beach, and right here in West Palm Beach. Flagler Credit Union is also the official credit union of Florida Atlantic Athletics. Open an account today. That is flaglercu.org for more information. flaglercu.org for more information, or stop by one of those 4 locations. My guys, Brad, Adam, and Brian, they're going to be coming down here soon from Flagler Credit Union. I'm going to figure out what Flagler can do for me. You do the same thing by visiting one of those 4 locations in Boca Raton, Lake Clark Shores, North Palm Beach, and West Palm Beach. I look forward to telling you what I'm doing with Flagler Credit Union.
Dolphins have a new general manager. We'll get into that a little later. John Eric Sullivan, a hire from the Green Bay Packer tree. And also you have the Peach Bowl tonight with Indiana and Oregon. We're live here at the kickoff to the championship dinner and event with the Orange Bowl committee, which will be signifying and watching this game live on a Friday night here. You like Indiana? You like it Indiana uncompetitive?
I did this last night. I do. I don't see the biggest thing for me is Indiana picked up their steam after they won at Outson, and they really have been able to dominate the game. Probably other than that Ohio State game, I think they've been able to dominate every single game. Oozing confidence. And I think Mendoza just seems like I don't want to say it's going to come down to the quarterbacks, but I have more faith in Mendoza than I do in Dante Moore. I think Indiana has the better O-line. I think Indiana has the better D-line. I think they're more the experienced team. But one thing I think Oregon can lean into in Dan Lanning, nobody wants us here. Nobody wants us here. Nobody wants to hear about Oregon. Nobody. If Dan Lanning plays that card, I think Oregon could show up tonight. But I think Indiana has too much firepower. I do. I think they have too much firepower.
I think Oregon's going to show up tonight. I think it'll be a competitive game. I do think Indiana will win. I do anticipate a competitive game because that first time around, you can make the argument that was Indiana's, like you said, a little bit of a coming-out party. Or is this just the same old Indiana from last year where they beat down on teams that weren't as good as them and didn't have the talent as they did, but once they played the big dogs, that's where they sort of shriveled up and rolled over. But that's the game at Oregon is when they showed you that – oh, wait, this team is a little bit of a different level comparatively to last year.
The only game that Indiana realistically struggled at all this season was that Ohio State game. If I'm Lanning, I'm looking at how that defense –
the Penn State game, they struggled, and they also struggled against Iowa. The Ohio State game is where they were in trouble.
I am looking at what Ohio State, Penn State, and some of those teams did defensively to get after Mendoza, make him uncomfortable. And I think – the line of scrimmage battle tonight with Oregon, are they going to get a pass rush? You got to get a pass rush on Mendoza or he is going to go surgical on you. And they have about 3 or 4 running backs that they could give the ball to.
The thing about Oregon,
they're so deep.
Hold on, you're not going to like this. So Katie George just announced recently, she reported on SportsCenter just about an hour ago, that Oregon moved 2 defensive players to tailback for this week's game because Noah Whittingham, who's their top guy, is questionable with an injury report. They have a couple other guys that are on the injury report. I know they got 3 guys, but Whittingham's their top guy, and he's questionable with an undisclosed injury. And it sounds like if they're moving defensive players to offensive positions because Hassan Ritter and then Braden Platt, a linebacker, switched over to the offense for this week.
I think Lanning's really going to have to lean into the fact of nobody wants us here. Let's shock the world. I really do. I know you
don't always get a number 1, number 2 pick in the draft. Head-to-head matchup in a semifinal like this.
By the way, there are rumors that Moore could go back to Oregon next year. There are rumors
it's more anti-Jets than it is pro go back to Oregon.
Is he is he that good? Dante Moore?
I don't think he's that great, but teams like him. Yeah. So teams like him. I've never been wowed I was more wowed than by Chambliss in the last 6 weeks than I have been by Moore.
What's his signature game and signature moment?
He played well in the Penn State game.
You got one with Beck now.
Played well in the Penn State game.
You got one with Mendoza. You have about 3 or 4 with Mendoza. I just I
played
think
well in the Penn State game.
I think he might need one more year at college. I don't know.
But if you're going to be the second pick of the draft, you leave. You're going to be the second. The only problem is some people are under the impression that he will go anti-Jets and for some reason, if you go back
What
to
if-
college, he doesn't think the Jets will be back there next year.
What if,
I mean,
what if
geez.
Oregon matches that first year? When did they give him $6 million to go back to school?
I
Phil
mean,
Knight
second
has
overall pick. What is it?
Phil Knight has it.
What is it going to be, a $30 million contract?
Phil Knight has it. He's got him for one more year. Give him the $7 million. And then he could go make $30 million a year after. Look what Herbert did. Listen, it wouldn't be the
but
first
how much
case.
better? How
Wouldn't
much, true, but how much better can it get? If you're
and
gonna be
you
the second
avoid the
pick in the draft?
Jets. And you avoid Aaron
Mike,
Glenn.
you don't think the Jets are going to be right back there next year?
And you avoid Aaron Glenn.
You'll be right back there next year. This is the wrong move. I'm surprised you're on this. He should leave. You want to avoid the Jets?
This
Well,
is new
guess what? All the other teams. You think the Raiders are sunshine and rainbows?
This is new college football. I like to think that Quinn Ewers probably should have stayed another year in college as well. I really do.
When Ewers, March Manning was right there. They were not coming
He
back.
could have made $8 million in Michigan State last year.
You think Quinn Ewers at Michigan State? I mean, okay, I guess he was a 7th round pick. That guy was never a pro anyway. You're talking about a guy that's projected as number 2
What
pick
I'm
in the
saying,
draft.
the point I'm trying to make is you don't have to rush to the draft anymore with how college football is. You could arguably
That
make,
is true,
You could
but it's
arguably
also-
make the same amount if you don't.
But it's about
I don't-
capitalizing on draft stuff.
I do not blame Moore for not wanting to go to the Jets. I really don't. I can't sit here and say I blame the kid
I don't know
for
if
not
that's
wanting
true.
to go number 2.
I don't know if that's true.
But at the same time, if he does decide to go back to school and Phil Knight and Nike and Dan Lanning are going to give him $6 million, can I really sit here and blame him?
What's best case scenario for next year? Is he going to be better than a top 3 pick next year?
I mean, I personally think he hasn't even done enough to be a top 3 pick.
Well, he will be this year. He won't be next year unless
Why?
there's unless he's excellent all of a sudden.
What quarterbacks are in waiting next year? Arch
How about-
Manning?
yeah. Manning will
that's
come
one.
out next year.
It's one.
All right, let's think about
Jules?
this. Josh Hoover will be there next year. He's going to be Indiana's next starter, and when he gets Heisman votes, do not look at me. Manning will be there next year. Maeva from USC will be there. He's a good player. Sayan will come out if he wants to. Miami, whoever they get, whether it's Sam Levitt or something like that. Sorsby at Texas Tech, if he's any good, will come out. Darian Mensah at Duke, I think, will be a big-time quarterback, and I think he'll be a good pro. He's coming back to Duke.
We said the same thing this year, though. And a
I
lot
agree,
of these guys fizzle
but
out.
but that's all because of Manning. But I agree.
A lot
you're right. You hit it. A lot of these guys fizzle out.
fizzle
So why
out.
go back? Capitalize on your draft stock. You're going to be playing in the semifinal, potentially the championship. You leave. Who else are you competing with? Ty Simpson, Trinidad Chambliss, who I think is great, but he's a great college player. He won't test well with the pros.
I guess I don't blame him. If he wanted to stay in college and make $6 million, I wouldn't necessarily be, you should have went. You saw Justin Herbert stay for a year, arguably hurt his draft stock, and still be a solid pro at the same school.
Fine. I get it.
I know everyone's different. I know it's not the same for everybody. Maybe that's a bad comparison. But I just, to condemn a kid to the New York Jets, oh, God, I don't wish that upon anybody. Really don't. And even for that matter, the Cleveland Browns, I don't wish for Mendoza, for the Raiders. I mean,
well, that's how it goes. If you're good, you go to a bad team.
Get it?
If you're good, you go to a bad team. I can't listen to that. I mean, what is best case scenario? So if he goes in next year with the pressure I have to be a top 2 pick in order to make this worth it.
The number one thing I want to get across here is I don't blame him for wanting to make $7 million in college and play one more year there and delay the inevitable of going to a horrible team. And you hope that one of these teams that's up there that actually has a GM and somebody that knows what the hell they're doing.
You risk injury. I understand you're making money. You risk injury. If the team has a bad year, if Oregon doesn't make the playoff next year for whatever reason, then all of a sudden people are going to forget about Dante Moore pretty quickly. I understand what you're saying.
Option.
I do.
It's
I do.
an
And I think
option.
that makes sense for the middling first-round quarterbacks. I completely agree with you. But this kid's being floated as a second overall pick in the draft. And if he's under the impression that he'll test well and he's young, I don't know why you wouldn't. And if you want to do this to avoid the Jets, I don't think that's the right precedent to set because it makes it about you, and that's bad karma too. That's bad karma. I don't like that. That's bad karma. When everybody else is gonna, I get it. You want to hone in your skills and continue to be great, but next year there's gonna be a lot of guys coming out. There's gonna be a lot of guys coming out. A lot of guys who could have came out this year who didn't for the same reasons that you just listed. Darian Mensah did not come out because he doesn't need to, because he wouldn't be a top 5 pick. Manning didn't need to come out because Manning doesn't need the money. But Manning didn't need to come out because he doesn't need
and he's probably not ready, to be completely fair.
He's probably not ready. If they're under the impression that this kid is ready, I understand. I really do understand what you're saying, but not for a guy who's projected top 3. I don't see that. I don't think that's the right move. I think you're dancing too much. That's a very luxurious position that you're going to be in. There's going to be a lot of Jeremiah Smith. Where's he going to get drafted next year? He'll be ahead of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He'll be ahead of quarterbacks.
Yeah, he'll be at least
that's another one.
At least top 5.
That's another one.
At least top
right.
5.
So that's another. I mean, you're throwing a lot of guys out there who are going to be problematic draft picks. So that that costs you millions of dollars. 1 versus 6 is, I think, $8 million in difference in the 4-key contract. Nonetheless, that's Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, live from the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino down in Hollywood. If you've been in a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall, my friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, they are the type that like to fight for you. I know with Anajar and Levine, they got my back, and they're just right down the street from here because you don't have to settle for just any attorney. You could demand the best. You could demand Anajar and Levine today and pick up the phone and take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for the free consultation. Today, call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. We'll do a little 5 at 5. Loop in Christian Cat into the conversation at the kickoff to the championship. Alive here at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. That's Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo. 5 at 5. On the other side of things, it's Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Experience the world's premier equestrian event right here in Wellington, Florida. The Winter Equestrian Festival brings together Olympic and world champion riders and horses from all around the globe for 13 weeks of elite international competition and unforgettable moments. Don't miss the iconic Saturday Night Lights, high-energy show jumping, incredible atmosphere, and excitement under the lights. Now through March at Wellington International. Visit WellingtonInternational.com for more information. Wellington International, where champions are made.
Banyan Printing, your trusted partner for all your printing and signage needs. With 48 years of local service, over 1,000 customers choose Banyan for fast turnaround, free delivery, consistent results, and market-leading customer service. Banyan's all-in-one solution saves businesses time and resources. From business cards and brochures to direct mail services and signage, they eliminate the hassle of multiple vendors. If you're unsure you're getting the best service or value, visit banyanonline.com or call 561-586-6220.
Today's tax tip is brought to you by Anshin Accountants and Advisors with Joseph Malloy, tax partner in Anshin's Construction Group.
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, also known as the OBBBA, will have a significant impact on tax planning strategies. The bill restores and makes permanent 100% bonus depreciation for all eligible purchases made after January 19, 2025. This tax incentive will influence investments in additional machinery and equipment upgrades, providing an immediate tax deduction and helping contractors increase cash flow. At Anshin, a partner-owned firm since 1923, we strategically guide construction companies through the new tax law to help them develop the right strategy and enhance profitability. If you're a construction executive or owner looking to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver value where others can't.
For more tax tips from Anshin, visit Anshin.com. That's ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, helping you recalculate what's possible.
Want to accelerate your career as a manager or executive in the exciting industry of sports? Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program is ranked #1 in Florida and 10th in the world. Students learn practical and applied skills from top faculty and experts who work in the industry. With a 94% placement rate for all grads, the full-time MBA program sets students up for success in the world of sports. Check out Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program today by going to business.fau.edu.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WESP Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Prizes, flyaways, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting ESPNWestPalmContests.com.
That's ESPNWestPalmContests.com.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike, and if you love football, you're in the right place. ESPN 106.3 has it all. Tonight, it's Oregon and Indiana battling in the Peach Bowl. Winner moves on to the college football playoff title game. Coverage begins at 7 right here on ESPN 106.3.
The PGA Tour is back in Palm Beach. The Cognizant Classic returns February 25th through March 1st to the Champion Course at PGA National Resort and Spa. Be here to watch PGA Tour players take on the Bear Trap, one of the toughest stretches in golf, while enjoying elevated fan activities around every corner. Experience the energy with your friends and take in the excitement of this can't-miss event. Tickets are on sale now at thecognizantclassic.com.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, built Ford tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
As teams battle for a chance at the title, make sure your home is ready for every unforgettable moment. EDS Air Conditioning keeps your comfort championship caliber. Right now, qualified customers can score 0% interest for 60 months on a brand new AC unit. The heat belongs on the field, not inside your home. With more than 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, EDS has been delivering national championship service since 2006. Visit EDSisyes.com today and enjoy the run to a national title.
I'm Ellie Anajar of Anajar and Levine. Injured in a car crash? Never rush to settle with insurance companies and never settle for just any attorney. Demand Anajar and Levine. Our experienced legal team will fight to win you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call me, Ellie Anajar, for a free consultation and take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
In office, West Palm Beach.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Colin to the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy!
Light him up, Colin!
The 5 p.m. hour of Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. You got Colin Russo and Mike Rizzo with you. We got Christian Cap behind the glass up in West Palm Beach at the City Place Studios. We are down here in Hollywood, Florida, having a great time here because you got a little Peach Bowl action. We're going to be watching it live at the kickoff to the championship at Hard Rock Seminole Hotel and Casino. So having a good time. A lot of people are going to be here tonight, including the Orange Bowl committee. They'll be on in here. Doors open at around 7 p.m. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for a couple guests as we'll be live until 7 p.m. For the kickoff to the championship, hosted by the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood. Christian Cat is our producer behind the glass today. Christian, how are you? What's going on?
You know, just enjoying what was a fantastic college football game last night. Had the drama, had two kind of just different cultures of teams coming together. Old school conference versus a different conference with real stakes on the line. It was a cool environment in Arizona last night.
Very cool environment, very good game, and the SEC takes a hit because the SEC will not have a representative in the national championship yet again. So a lot of questions about that.
Third straight year.
Third straight year.
I'm done hearing how hard it is to go to Mississippi State and win, by the way. Done with all
So Miami, Washington, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and then one of Indiana and Oregon, and then Miami will be the 6 representatives in the last 3 years for the national championship. And Ole Miss, the funny part is the SEC's last dying wish being a coaching staff stripped team. Middling did not make the SEC championship game. Ole Miss, who, again, I'm not using that to pound them because I'm impressed with Ole Miss, and I walked away impressed with them in that game.
They were the best team in that conference, I think. No doubt. They beat
peaked
Georgia.
at the right time. They did peak at the right time. They peaked at the weird. They peaked at a weird time, but they did.
Funny enough, you know, with Lane, with their head coach, they kind of pooped it away versus Georgia, and then in that game on New Year's Day, they stole it back. You saw how bad Alabama was in that 38-3 debacle. I mean, give credit to give credit to Ole
Oklahoma
Miss.
blew a 17-0
they
lead
stunk.
at home.
They stunk.
Vanderbilt lost to Iowa. Tennessee lost to Illinois. Mississippi State lost to Wake Forest in the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
We're done. We're done hearing how hard it is to win at Missouri and at Mississippi State.
Missouri, another team that lost.
Yeah, we're all good on the back end teams are this much better than this back end of teams. Or yet there are a lot of ACC teams that could beat a lot of the SEC teams this year.
Who did Missouri lose to? Washington, I want to say. I could be wrong.
No, Washington beat Boise State in one of the first bowl games.
Yes, that's right. It was an SEC.
Regardless,
it was a Big Ten team.
Regardless, Colin, I might
they
need to
scored
start,
first, and it was terrible.
I might need to start adopting your kind of outlook on conferences of they change year by year. But one thing is certain, and one thing is consistent the last 3 years, is that the SEC will not be represented in the national championship game. And as a Big Ten homer, as a Big Ten man, and better known in my circles as Big Ten Mike, shower me in that. Shower me in that. But oddly enough, I kind of found myself, and I know Miami people don't want to hear it. Why did I find myself rooting for overtime last night? Why did I find myself rooting for more football?
A fourth down stop, yeah.
I wanted. I was
27-0 would have been fun.
I was low key rooting for Ole Miss to the point where Christian Cat was yelling at us in our group chat last night.
It would have been fun to have a drive for drive, score touchdown versus score touchdown, because Miami probably would have scored every time they got the ball, just with the offensive line. And it would have been fun to put that pressure on Ole Miss.
Bro, Ole Miss went 50 yards in like 20 seconds?
Yeah. Fourth quarter, they started lighting it up. Now, Miami's defense got frazzled there. First time all playoff. They got frazzled there in that second half. They did. They had one hiccup the third drive of the game with Kwan Lacey getting that 70-yard touchdown. Outside of that, they were pretty lock steady in that first half. They held them to a couple field goals. You're okay with that, even after a turnover. And then at the fourth quarter is when they start to fall apart a little bit.
There were like two spells for Miami this whole college football playoff where the defense was a bit shaky. Early on in the second half against the Buckeyes, and that fourth quarter against Ole Miss.
Yep. You're probably right. Now, Christian Cat is our producer today. Let's bounce around a little bit. 5 and 5, presented by Flagler Credit Union.
5 topics.
High five.
5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's get out of here.
Endless takes.
You can't handle the truth.
All gas, no brakes.
And it's shaking Big Ten.
It's time for the 5 at 5.
Hold on to your butts.
Presented by Flagler Credit Union, proud supporter of FAU athletics. Number 1.
Well, last night was a doozy in the college football playoff. Miami gets over the boogeyman. Well, if the boogeyman was a building, of course, Miami's Fiesta Bowl woes are well documented, specifically against Ohio State, Mike's favorite football team. But Miami wins the Fiesta Bowl, goes to the College Football National Championship game. Miami, a 10 seed in the national title game. Mike, what was Ohio State last year?
8.
Ohio State, an 8 seed in last year's national championship game. What does it say that you have two teams that wouldn't even sniff a 4-team playoff make the first two 12-team playoffs in the college football new era?
With everything that's wrong with the sport in terms of timing, how much money, lack of commitment, no contracts, all of that is a problem. But one thing they lined up pretty well is they expanded the playoff a couple years after NIL opened up. Being able to do that, and I know they had a couple year of a buffer when they announced that they were going to do it, expanding the playoff and allowing more teams to get into the dance while NIL is sort of evening out all the teams, it was the perfect almost floodgate to increase parity in the sport. So I think that's the big takeaway, despite there being a lot of glaring issues still with the sport.
Christian, I think I can put it as simple as this. It's working. I mean, Ohio State would have never made the 4-team playoff last year, and they wouldn't have won a title. Miami would have never made the 4-team college football playoff, and they will not have a chance to win a title. I also think, like people always say, Kyle, hey, the pressure of these, especially rivalry weekend, right? The pressure of the rivalry weekend games don't mean as much. Michigan could lose to Ohio State and still make the playoffs, vice versa, right? Georgia could lose to Georgia Tech and still make the playoffs. But, I think it adds more pressure for these coaches at the big-time programs. What could happen to LSU and BK? Brian Kelly lost 3 games midseason. They let him go, all right? Michigan lost 3 games, and their final game to Ohio State, and obviously Sherrone Moore got fired for completely different reasons, but forgive me for thinking even if the ridiculousness of the Moore situation didn't happen, that they would want to fire him anyway because he lost 3 games at a big-time university like that. I think the bare minimum has become, with these big-time programs, you must make the playoff. There are 12 teams that make it. You got to be one of the 12 year in and year out, or else you're not going to be there anymore. That's my full
There's a
take.
little bit more of a quantitative measure to it in terms of how good a coach is. You have playoff appearance. You have playoff appearance, you have a conference championship appearance. Oh, you don't have either. Okay, then what are we supposed to be sold on if we are a top 20 program in the country? If we're top, and especially if we're top 10 in spending. If we're top 10 in spending and you're not even, sniffing a dance, that is where quantitatively it's a lot easier to judge resumes comparatively of the coaches.
Yep.
And if you want to get rid of somebody, that's why.
Yep, and then I think that's the situation they put them. Let's do number 2.
Number 2.
There are a couple of transfer portal quarterbacks still without a home, namely Russo, you mentioned in the first hour of the show. Arizona State's Sam Levitt might be the top name on that list. Well, Sam Levitt is visiting Coral Gables. He is visiting the University of Miami this weekend. Is the Miami starting quarterback job among the best in the nation?
So I don't know how you define it. So if I were to define it as the top job in the nation, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about money, period, and how much money you're going to make in terms of NIL. And you're talking about if you're going to play in big games, right? So there's your 2 answers right there. That's the way I would define it. I think that's the way a lot of the quarterbacks would define it these days. Are you going to play in big games? I'll add a third caveat. How is it going to help your draft stock, and are you going to make a lot of money? Miami clearly, at this point, checks all 3 boxes. I would say there's, 10 to 15 of those jobs in the country that check all 3 boxes. Are you going to make me a better pro prospect? Or are we going to play in big games, and am I going to make a lot of money? And I think the fact that Miami is probably one of 10, I don't think I'd say the number 1, but I think they are going to be consistently a top 10 job for a quarterback year in, year out.
Christian, absolutely. Of course Miami is. I just wish it wasn't at the extent of my football team. All trolling aside, Miami is back, and they've been back for a little bit now. You had Cam Ward, you had Carson Beck, and now you're probably going to have Sam Levitt. Boys, I want to throw something your way, too. Let's go through last year's semifinal quarterbacks. Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, Riley Leonard, Drew Aller. Christian, all upperclassmen. This year, Chambliss, upperclassman. Carson Beck, upperclassman.
Well above an upperclassman for both of them.
Mendoza, upperclassman. Dante Moore will be eligible for. He's the youngest of the batch. What's the, what are the similarities? These are all veteran quarterbacks that are deep in the playoffs.
And how about this? Transfer.
Correct. So, absolutely, Christian, Miami is a hotbed for starting quarterbacks, and they should continue to do that model. Look what Cignetti did already. Hoover. He already has this quarterback, and he's a transfer, and he's an upperclassman. Unless you're, and Christian, play the nobody cares about Ohio State.
Thinking about Ohio State. No one cares.
Unless you're Ryan Day and you can consistently really breed a quarterback from your system, you're going to go to the portal. And he went to the portal last year and won a title. Yes, Miami is a hotbed of quarterbacks, and yes, they will continue to do this until it is absolutely broken and you can't do it anymore.
I think it's peculiar.
Number 3.
But really quickly, I think it's peculiar how, if you're thinking about the old guard a little bit, Nussmeier was somebody, and I'm thinking of the top line SEC. I'll even include Ohio State, and I'll include Michigan too, into this situation. J.J. McCarthy was born and bred through the system. Bryce Underwood was played immediately in the system. Julian Sayin was a transfer, but he was somebody that was willing to sit and still, I'm not going to say bred through the system, but worked his way up through the system. Gunnar Stockton at Georgia, he was somebody who worked his way through the system. Ty Simpson, talk about working your way through the system. Right then and there, C.J. Carr, worked your way through the system. Some of the premier programs of old have done it of that route. They have, or at least recently in the last couple of years, they've done it that route. Whereas the new guard, the teams that understand that, all we need is money and we could answer this dance pretty quickly. Oregon's never been afraid to get a transfer quarterback. It's mostly worked out for them. And the Texas Techs of the world are going to do it yearly. Indiana's going to do it yearly. And a lot of these newer teams, Miami's going to do it yearly. They're going to dance into the quarterback sort of carousel rather than develop guys through the system, because I think it's harder to keep guys at an Oklahoma, at a Miami, sitting behind a player comparatively to the schools that have a little name notoriety, such as Notre Dame, Georgia, LSU, Alabama. I think it's a little easier, and I don't know if that'll fade, but that's just, it's an interesting comparison and contrast to see those two different sides.
Yep.
Number 3.
Hey, let's jump on over to the NFL, where we had some breaking news come from our brother station, ESPN Cleveland, regarding the hottest head coach on the market looking for a new job after the Baltimore Ravens fired John Harbaugh. Here is what insider Tony Grossi had to say about what John Harbaugh's requirements are to be if he is interested in his next head coaching job.
Prerequisites to even be interested in your job.
Okay.
Right. $20 million a year.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. $10 million assistant coach budget.
Not a problem.
Okay. Total authority over the roster. And also would like to select his own guy to lean on, personnel guy.
Okay, so
that was Aaron Goldhammer reacting as a Cleveland Browns fan, saying whether or not it would be a problem for the gauntlet laid down for what apparently John Harbaugh's requirements are to be if he's going to be that franchise's next head coach. In summation, $20 million a year is his salary, $10 million to pay his staff, total authority over the roster, and he would like to select his own GM. Russo, Rizzo, is this fair for John Harbaugh to require this in this market?
I mean, that's the assumption of what he wants. Is that confirmed?
Grossi is...
Where do you even get that information?
Let's put it this way. Grossi has been covering the league for 40 years. I don't think he would just go out on a whim. I'm sure he's got some pretty good sources there. And I do have to correct. Aaron's a Bronco fan. Kid's from Denver.
Apologies.
Right? Hates the Browns. Not hates the Browns, but trolls the Browns. Regardless, sure. Why not? Harbaugh's the best coach on the market. He can do whatever the hell he wants, and he can get it. You think the Giants aren't going to fire somebody and give him all that money? You think that the Browns wouldn't fire somebody and give him all that money? When you are the top commodity on the market, Christian, this is my personal opinion, you could call the shots. Harbaugh is the shot caller until further notice. I could even think if LaFleur even becomes available, I still think he's the shot caller. So I have no problem. If what my guy Tony Grossi is saying is true, then absolutely, I have no problem with him.
I haven't seen that, so I'm curious on where that came from. But I mean, that's a good assumption.
It's his reporting. This is 10:32 a.m. posted by ESPN Cleveland insider Tony Grossi. So you should be accepting it as news. I would say that.
Okay. That was the first I've saw it. I didn't know if he was just hypothesizing or speculating. All right, if that's the case, then cut Miami out. So what are we talking about? Cut Miami out. And if we're under the impression that he loves Miami and Miami loves him, then how come Miami hired a general manager this morning? So which side do you believe? Do you believe that Harbaugh has interest in Miami, or do you believe that he wants the absolute power? All right, go enjoy the Titans. So right. I don't understand. I understand you got to give it to him, but then we're cutting out Miami. And if everybody's under the impression that they're going to go after Miami, well, John Eric Sullivan just got hired today by the Miami Board of Directors, including Troy Aikman, who made that selection to be their next general manager.
For reference, in terms of one of these figures that was given, which was an alleged demand of $20 million per year to be the head coach of your new team, Andy Reid leads the NFL with making $20 million a year annually. In second is Sean Payton at $18 million a year, then Mike Tomlin at $16, and Jim Harbaugh, his brother, at $16 million a year. McVay in fifth at $15.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's an owner question. All that money is cash-rich owners. Are they willing to spend that type of money for the staff? It's not necessarily as much to do with certified league funds. That is a lot about a cash-rich owner willing to fork that out.
He'll get it.
Hey, he'll probably get it.
He'll get it.
But if that's the case, goodbye Miami. Miami, get used to Brian Flores. Get used to somebody else.
Brian Dable?
Who knows? Because the Miami today, I'm sure Christian will bring it up, but hired a general manager today. So if Harbaugh wants absolute power, Miami, who has no bargaining power to begin with, just said, well, we're going to do it our own way. You're either on the ship or you're not. So I'm curious on how that's going to play out now. Because if John Harbaugh really wants to go to Cleveland or somewhere else, is he gonna die on a bridge of I want absolute power and go to a terrible franchise? Who knows?
I didn't think he was power hungry like that.
That's why it surprised me, right? I understand the money. I understand. Go get $20 million, and I understand the staff. Go get that.
So Harbaugh had really good general managers that were great at personnel and drafting with the Ravens.
Yeah, DeCosta.
DeCosta was great, and before him, Newsom was also good.
Former Cleveland Brown, Ozzie Newsom.
Yep.
So, that is interesting. He trusted those guys. They built good teams. He doesn't want to jump into poverty in terms of the guys he's going to be coaching. So it's I think it's a trust issue for 18 years where he did not have any trust issues with Baltimore, but now you're in the unknown.
So now if you're a team with a general manager, not only are you selling yourselves to him for him to sign him, but your general manager, the guy who makes the personnel decisions, you're going to have to not only sell him, but impress him. So that's where Miami is sitting right now, especially after signing their new general manager today.
Number 4.
John Eric Sullivan from the Packers.
And we got a little bit of news on the golf game. Last week, Brooks Koepka left Live Golf. He had 1 year left in his contract with that league that's competing with the PGA Tour. And today, it was reported that Brooks Koepka, Newman alum, 5-time major winner, has applied for reinstatement for his PGA Tour membership. So the penalty that was instated by PGA Tour when Live became a thing was additional penalties, including, and maybe more severe than, 1 year ban from the PGA Tour if you go to Live Golf. Do you think the PGA Tour should uphold that suspension even though a big star like Brooks Koepka wants to come back to the tour, ergo bring a lot of more eyeballs that are Brooks fans or at least recognize Brooks Koepka? Or do you think that they should maybe rethink their penalty and make exceptions for big stars that might help the tour if they were playing versus not playing?
So I don't think they should do this, and I don't think it just to make it under the impression that you have star treatment. I don't think that's the reason that you do this. I don't think you punish him, number one, because Brooks Koepka is 35 years old. He's 35 years old. He's won 5 majors. He's one of the top golfers in terms of resume that we have currently playing. You're going to make him sit a full year, and then I join the ranks next year. It sounds like, according to the article on ESPN, which was released about him wanting to get out of Live, was a family decision. Maybe he doesn't want to travel as much. Live, you could have very peculiar travel schedules.
I will say his wife did suffer a miscarriage in the past year, so there's some stuff there as well.
So maybe, if this might be him wanting to stay closer to home. This might be him wanting to enter back into, golf tournaments that are a little bit more, I guess, accustomed to the golf scene, the golf world. They're a little bit more prestigious in terms of, because they're historic. And I think maybe he wants to enter back into that fold, play with some of the top players in the world consistently. And maybe the Live thing sort of ran its course in his head. So I'm curious on how he's going to handle this and how the PGA is going to handle this. If it's me, I do not suspend him because he's 35. It sets a good precedent. It sets a good relationship thing between PGA and Live. And it convinces other players that, hey, we can do this.
Now, Christian, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot and you don't know this, but when were the rules announced, like, hey, if you're going to leave Live? Like, was this something that's been in place for a long time?
Yeah, the thing is that, when Live Golf was become a thing, when guys like Phil Mickelson left the PGA Tour, the PGA didn't know what to do. Live Golf allows their players to play in the PGA Tour. Live Golf says you can do both.
Okay.
But the PGA Tour did not want that. This is way back in 2022.
Okay,
I believe.
perfect.
Yeah,
yes.
This is a while ago.
This is when they were trying. They're panic selling.
And the thing is, Mike, these guys like Brooks Koepka were given really big signing bonuses for taking that risk and leaving the PGA Tour, knowing the penalties that would ensue. And now these contracts are expiring. So guys like Brooks and now Bryson's the big name that's going to be playing on a contract year.
Boys, where I'm going here, I think time heals all. At the time, PGA and Live were at each other's necks. I think that relationship isn't as bad as it was back in 2022. I also think with the additions of TGL, and Christian, please remind me, I'm so sorry I forgot. what's the event that you and Dr. Al and everyone were at where they were doing the trick shots and stuff like that?
Yeah.
The Optum Golf Channel.
Okay,
games.
perfect. Like, they added stuff like that to where professional golfers in the PGA can make more money to kind of, I don't know, compete with Live like that. I don't think they're at each other's necks like that. I have no problem with them not having to have Koepka wait. Like, it's not 2022 anymore. The PGA isn't, screw you to Live anymore. They have ways for their golfers to make extra money now. They have cool things that incentivize the PGA now to where I don't think they even see Live as a threat anymore. That's my 2 cents on the situation.
Well, here's the problem. They have the money. So that's why you got to be careful here because it's a slippery slope. Let's say you let Koepka come back. What's stopping, Scotty Scheffler? And he won't do it, but stopping Scotty Scheffler for doing a 1-year, $100 million contract with Live and then just coming back. Takes a year off. He makes life-changing money. He travels the world. He does different tournaments. We don't see him other than the majors. And then he comes back to no penalty. That's the precedent that I think the PGA is nervous about establishing because that's the whole reason they said it in the first place. Because PGA Tours players are thinking, hold on, we're being loyal. We're sticking to by your tournaments. But this guy, Dustin Johnson's making $125 million to leave. And I'm making purse money of, if I have a good tournament, $3 million.
Yeah.
So it's a lot that's the precedent that they're nervous about. So I'm curious to see if Liv is still going to try to pluck PGA. There's the merger. You're 100% right. There's a better relationship now than there was 4 years ago. But to the same token, does this mean if they upend that ruling, is Liv going to start trying to pluck more guys from the PGA to replace guys like Brooks?
Yeah, and you also think if you're thinking strategically, if you're still in a war, PGA Tour versus Liv, if there's no penalty, you might have stars that made their nut come on back because they already made generational wealth.
And then
now
PGA
they can
guys are
chase.
pissed.
Yeah, maybe. And these PGA Tour guys who didn't take the money and make that even super duper generational wealth, instead stuck it out with the PGA Tour. The leading flag holder in this was Rory McIlroy, who has been staunchly anti-live golf, very aggressive towards it. When he was asked at a TGL press conference, the second match of the year that I was at, about, this is before Brooks Koepka applied for his PGA Tour card. Just the fact that Brooks Koepka was not a live golfer anymore. PGA, TGL, they're together. TGL is a PGA Tour organized league.
Yes.
Here is what Rory McIlroy had to say at the press conference.
Right here in the front.
Thanks. Rory, quick question. Now that Brooks Koepka has left Live, is there a possibility he'll join TGL?
I would say that's up to people that are more powerful and more important than me, but I am one of the founders. I would love him to play. If there's space on a team for Brooks to come and play, it only makes what we're trying to do stronger. He's a 5-time major champion. He's been one of the best players of our generation. And if he decides it's something that he wants to do, I'm sure we'll find a way to include him.
So, a strong pivot there from Rory McIlroy, the poster child for PGA Tour staying in-house and not taking the money to live golf and not allowing live golfers back onto the tour. I think you might see very soft penalty, maybe a slight fine, and you'll probably see Brooks Koepka playing in tournaments like the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches.
Yeah, I go back to what I said, boys. Time heals all. Colin, you had a great rebuttal to where, hey, what makes it why wouldn't this guy jump ship this year and then come back the next year? I guess that's just something you're going to have to deal with. It's a very tricky situation because I thought these two were closer to merging than they weren't.
Well, yeah, right. So there was the merger. That was about, 2 years ago, I want to say, maybe a year and a half ago. And ever since then, it's really just been legal stuff, and they're trying to figure out ways to
never materialized. It just
never really materialized. They only did it in handshake. They never really did it in actual execution. But the good news is Liv had a new CEO, and Scott O'Neill, by the way, grew up down the street from him, the former next-door neighbor of the Russo household. So Scott O'Neill, good friend of show. We could probably get him on one of these days.
Okay.
But
you said that about a lot of people.
Scott,
I
hold on.
still want that reliever on the Mariners, right? Is that the guy?
No, starter on the Mariners. Hold on, Christian. Started Game 7.
Christian.
Started Game 7 of the
ALCS.
Christian, you love lambasting. You love lambasting.
Started Game 5 and Game 7 of that series. Please.
You love lambasting us if we don't know something that we should know. We are going to lambaste you for not knowing
George Kirby's
Kirby.
good friend of show. You're dead wrong there. That's why he doesn't come on, because he heard that. And he heard Christian thinks he's a reliever.
Yeah, correct.
Now he's not going to come on with us, nonetheless. George Kirby, good friend of show. But Scott O'Neill has done a better job in terms of relationship building. He's an operator at the end of the day. He's good with the relationships. And I believe it's still Monahan, the leader of the PGA Tour. I know there was rumors about him stepping down. But with Jay Monahan there, it's about his relationship with O'Neill. Are they going to sort of coexist to the point where you are not a threat to us, you are a compliment to us? That's why the TGL works. TGA is on Monday nights, on Tuesday nights. You know, it's local. It's in one spot. You're not in Singapore. You're not in all these spots that the LIV has tournaments, comparatively to LIV events being on weekends, taking the same players, similar formats where it's a weekend type of thing. Sometimes it's during the week, sometimes it's not. So I don't know how they're going to handle it, but I think the fact is that Brooks wants to come back. Maybe the money doesn't talk as much as they thought, and they think that the PGA is in a good spot. And I think relevance to Koepka is important to finish off his career. I think he wants to be seen on PGA tours against Scheffler and Rory week in and week out. And he sort of misses that as a 35-year-old. That would be my perspective. But Christian's right. Christian hit a lot of points there. There's a give and take relationship, and it's all about how the powers above treat each other.
Yep.
So Scott O'Neill and Jay Monahan are the two chess pieces in this relationship.
Number 5.
You alluded to it. NFL news today right here in South Florida. The Miami Dolphins are finalizing a deal to hire Green Bay Packers VP of Player Personnel, John Eric Sullivan, as their new general manager. This comes the day after they fired Mike McDaniel as head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and Chris Greer, GM of the Dolphins, was fired mid-season here in 2025. What do you make of the hire? What do you think that means for maybe the head coaching search for the Dolphins?
So Jeff Darlington, who is a South Florida guy himself, has done a lot of coverage throughout the Miami Dolphins throughout his career, now nationally for ESPN. Had a lot on this story in terms of not only how do the Dolphins feel about the Harbaugh sweepstakes, but more importantly how they felt about John Eric Sullivan. And a number of things came out. Number one, he did say that Troy Aikman, who was involved with the process, was an excellent compliment to what they were looking for. He said he was very helpful, he was superb, he was candid, and he did a great job in terms of finding that right executive. Packers people, including and especially Matt LaFleur, sang his praises. This guy's been with the Packers since 2003. And the Packers are a well-run organization, so I don't hate taking from that tree. Now, another candidate that should come up for the Dolphins is Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator for the Packers. Is he going to try to bring a little Packer way to the Dolphins? If I'm a Dolphin fan, I don't complain about that, because anything Packers-related, you're saying yes.
Absolutely. And Sullivan was described as the right-handed man, or rather right-hand man. Excuse me. To Gutekunst. And he interviewed with the Titans, the Raiders, the Jets. So he's a sought-after guy. And listen, I love Troy Aikman. All right,
I trust Aikman. I agree. I trust Aikman. If Aikman doesn't like him, he'll tell you.
I agree. And I, maybe it's a little biased. I don't know. I love Aikman. I think this is a home run move. And if they do hire the defensive coordinator, I know I'm offense guy. That's just my personal preference on who I want. I want a head coach and play caller. But I think Dolphin fan would be kind of happy with that, because it's the opposite of what McDaniel was, right?
The one thing about it is it's another coach with no head coaching experience. And there are Dolphin fans out there who want that. And it hasn't been that case since about 20 years.
But at the same time, though, like, Shanahan didn't have head coaching experience. Like, McVay didn't have head coaching experience.
They don't look at the others.
I know that's
they look at themselves. They look at themselves.
That's a hell of a comparison. I understand that. But it works out sometimes. I don't know. I don't think you can make your decision based off of that. I think you have to trust the guy. You have to trust the guy making the decision. That's why you hired this guy to be a GM, because you want him to figure out who the hell the head coach should be.
Yeah, there's something to the experience aspect of it. I understand what you're
bring
saying.
in Mike McCarthy?
Hold on. Now, Mike McCarthy who I actually
don't wanna hear it.
I'm surprised
I don't wanna
you're
hear
not
it.
on
I don't wanna
as
hear
high
it.
on him as I am.
I don't wanna hear
because
it.
I actually think. How about this? You want to talk about PR and public relations? Mike McCarthy versus John Harbaugh. Winning percentage. John Harbaugh's 62% win percentage. Mike McCarthy's 61.9% win percentage. John Harbaugh's got 16 years as a head coach. McCarthy's got 17 years as a head coach. John Harbaugh's 12-10 in the playoffs. Mike McCarthy is 11-11 in the playoffs. John Harbaugh's got 5 division titles. Mike McCarthy has 7, and they each have a Super Bowl. So it's like one is because he's been to multiple spots already, and he got fired from 2 pretty prestigious, franchises versus one who has been tenured in a lot of ways. In terms of the stats, they're quite similar. And that's why I think McCarthy will get a job.
Well, one had Aaron Rodgers. McCarthy never got past the first round of the playoffs with the Cowboys, and he can't handle a clock. He can't manage a clock.
11-11 in the postseason is not a bad postseason record.
And Aaron Rodgers for most of the time, Kyle. I understand Lamar Jackson was a great quarterback, and Flacco wasn't a square up either. But come on. Hall of Fame quarterback, 4-time MVP with Aaron Rodgers. I get the comparison.
Harbaugh hasn't been good. Harbaugh hasn't been good with Lamar. Just keep that in mind. Was he 3-5 in the postseason?
AFC Championship. Listen. I know what I'm getting with McCarthy. You're going to win some games in the regular season. You're going to fall on your face once the playoffs start. All right, and he's going to mismanage the hell out of the clock and the timeouts.
Again,
I'm all good.
They're not looking to hire the next.
I do not.
They're not looking to hire the guy to get him over the hump. They're looking for a guy to get him above water. That's what they're looking for.
Well, 8 wins, 9 wins, 7 wins. You want to. I could say they are trying to get over the hump. They are trying to be an 11.
They're trying to get to the postseason. They're trying to win a playoff game. That's what they're trying to do. Trying to win a playoff game. So I understand. Young gun makes sense, but it's been 20 years since they've hired somebody with head coaching
I know
experience.
You don't want to hear it. Everyone wants Liam Cohen, bro. Everyone wants to find the next Liam Cohen.
To one Liam Cohen, there was a number of just disasters on top of that. So, Brian Callahan blew up. I mean, Dave Canales has been a 500 hire
Here's the thing,
at the very least.
You got to keep trying, though. You got to keep trying. You got to keep trying to find
But it doesn't mean you can't recycle an experienced coach, because it doesn't mean it won't work. It doesn't mean because it didn't work at one place, it won't work at the next. You got to keep that in mind. I understand what you're saying, but there's a caliber. You're acting like McCarthy is Jason Garrett. He's not. He's much more experienced and has had a lot more success. And McCarthy didn't do a halfway terrible job with the Cowboys. Let's keep that in mind.
What was the difference? But
he had a lot of bad injuries.
Garrett did better. Garrett did better than McCarthy there.
Well, remember, Garrett had the Romo into early Prescott years. McCarthy dealt with a lot of injuries when he was there.
McCarthy had good teams too, though.
Yeah, right. But remember, he had a halfway decent year last year when Prescott got hurt, and he was Cooper rushing the whole year. That was Cooper Rush did. How did he do with the Ravens? So, and they won 8-9 last year. They weren't terrible. He didn't do a terrible job. That's why it was a question as whether they'll get rid of him or not, because you didn't necessarily need to. I understand. I'm saying Harbaugh's a much better candidate than McCarthy is. But I don't think it's fair to rewrite McCarthy when there's 8 head coaching jobs. It doesn't mean that 8 coordinators deserve the jobs. I don't think that's the right move.
In 2026, Mike McCarthy's still up for head coaching gigs. We know his shtick. That's my final piece on it.
I mean, here's the thing. To one or 2 coordinators that really work out, there are 3 or 4 that blow up.
I think Dolphin fan would be upset if they hired Mike McCarthy.
I mean,
I think
Nagy was a disaster. Dable was a disaster. Aaron Glenn hasn't worked out.
Johnson,
Callahan didn't work. Hey, fine. Last year was a good class because last year had Moore, Cohen, Johnson, and I'd even throw. Schottenheimer wasn't awful either for what he was. The defense was the problem, not the offense. So the 4 halfway decent spots. But they walked into teams that were pretty good, and it was a hot coaching market, and we knew that. Doesn't happen every time. It does not happen every year. And Gannon was a hot shot new guy that didn't necessarily work out. Steichen is a 500 guy at best. So I understand, but it doesn't mean you need to do that every single time. It doesn't. So I'm just saying he should, for a bad team who doesn't have that next coordinator waiting in the wings. McCarthy's not a terrible option.
I'd flip out if he was the coach of the Browns next year. I'd flip out. Lose my top. I'd lose my top. Lose my top if McCarthy was my coach next year.
You want to get a guy to get you above water. That's why teams like the Giants should take a hard look at this. The Cardinals should take a hard look at this. The Raiders tried it with Carroll. That didn't work out. All right, now you could try Young Gun if you want. But you got to mix it up. Mike Rizzo, Colin, Russo, Christian Cat. You've been in a car accident. You're driving down to a Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood. You suffered a slip and fall, but you had a truck accident, fender bender. My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, they're the type that like to fight for you. They don't even charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. They're the best in the business for a reason. Don't settle for just any attorney. Demand the best. Demand Anajar and Levine, because all it takes is one phone call. Take back control of your life. Pick up the phone. Dial 1-800-747-FREE to get your free consultation today. That's 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat at the kickoff championship live here at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. We'll be back after this on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Experience the world's premier equestrian event right here in Wellington, Florida. The Winter Equestrian Festival brings together the best athletes and horses from around the globe for 13 weeks of elite international competition at the highest level of the sport. This is where excellence takes center stage. Best of all, general admission is free during the day from Thursday through Sunday, making it easy to experience the action up close. And don't miss the iconic Saturday Night Lights. High-energy show jumping under the lights, a vibrant crowd, family-friendly activities, great food, live music, and excitement you can truly feel from start to finish. Whether you're a lifelong equestrian fan or simply looking for the perfect night out, this event delivers world-class sport, shopping, dining, and premium hospitality in a setting unlike any other. Now through March at Wellington International. Visit wellingtoninternational.com for more information. Wellington International, where champions are made.
Today's tax tip is brought to you by Anshin Accountants and Advisors with Kevin McHale, tax partner in Anshin's Real Estate Group.
Under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, recent changes to the Opportunity Zone program include a rolling capital gains deferral period, updated basis step-up and tax-free appreciation rules, new categories of qualifying funds, and revised criteria for the census tracts that qualify as opportunity zones. At Anshin, a partner-owned firm since 1923, we help real estate professionals navigate through the new qualified opportunity zone rules so their investments align with their goals of maximizing deferrals, minimizing capital gains, and ensuring compliance with the updated legislation. If you're launching a new fund or restructuring existing investments, let Anshin strategically guide you through these changes and deliver value where others can't.
For more tax tips from Anshin, visit Anshin.com. That's ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, helping you recalculate what's possible.
College football fans, it's time. The ESPN Radio College Football Campus Tour is rolling into City Place, West Palm Beach. Join us Saturday night, January 17th from 4 to 8 for live ESPN radio shows. We'll have awesome giveaways. You can try your shot at our Serve Pro Rapid Response Reflex game, a Robin Hood football toss, and maybe even grab a free Monster Energy drink. Bring your friends, rep your school, and be part of the action as ESPN Radio takes over City Place. Saturday, January 17th from 4 to 8 at City Place, West Palm Beach.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-606-8737. 800-606-8737. 800-606-8737.
Are you a business owner or handle your company's marketing? Banyan Printing and Signs partners with over 1,000 local businesses in Palm Beach County. Their full-service solution saves you time and money by eliminating multiple vendors. From business cards and brochures to direct mail services and signage, they do it all. Fast turnaround, free local delivery, and superior customer service are what sets Banyan apart. Could a market leader with 48 years improve your current model? Visit BanyanOnline.com or call 561-586-6220.
Kaiser University's flagship campus, the 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees within the heart of South Florida. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 27 national championships, including their 3rd championship in women's soccer. Visit KUCHawks.com for the latest on the championship athletic programs at Kaiser University.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, built Ford tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
I know we're at the end of the college football season, but baseball fans, listen up. If you're in South Florida, spring training 2026 is officially underway, and Cacti Park at the Palm Beaches is the place to be throughout the season. Right there in West Palm Beach in South Florida, anybody can come see the Astros and the Nationals as they host some of baseball's biggest names. You can catch the Cardinals coming into town, the Mets, the Yankees, the Marlins, Orioles, Phillies, Pirates, even Team Venezuela for the World Baseball Classic all spring long. Nothing beats a day at Cacti Park that's sunshine, the crack of a bat, cold drinks, and amazing ballpark eats. It really is the best seat in baseball. Spring training runs today through March 22nd. Go get your tickets now as games start here in a couple of weeks. Cacti Park is bringing back fan-favorite promotions. That's Youth Sports Sunday, Sunday Brunch, Hero Days, Senior Days, Bark in the Park. Take a guess at what that is. Happy hour games, fireworks, college night, and so much more. And if you're bringing the family, go 4 for 4 with the family 4-pack. That's 4 tickets, 4 dogs, 4 drinks, and 4 chips. Visit cactipark.com today to lock in your seats. Spring training baseball is here in West Palm Beach. Do not miss a moment at Cacti Park. You got Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3 at Seminole Hard Rock Casino and Hotel down here in Hollywood, Florida. Having a good time tonight. Expecting a good game tonight in the Peach Bowl, which is going to be taking place at 7:30 on ESPN between Indiana and Oregon. A couple big names are going to be here tonight alongside the Orange Bowl committee. We're expecting 800, 900 people. We're in a big ballroom right now. 800, 900 people are going to be here tonight watching along with the game with us. We got a food spread right in front of us. And hopefully, I know Mike's under the impression that this will not be a competitive game. I'm under the impression that this will be a competitive game. Hopefully we get a competitive game. That's all you're rooting for.
Yep, I hope it's like last night. You know, I didn't think Ole Miss was –
Who are you rooting for?
Nobody. I'm rooting for Miami. That's who I'm rooting for.
Well, who are you rooting for? Come on. You got to have a – who are you going to be happy if they win tonight's game?
Nobody. I hate Oregon and I hate Indiana. I'm rooting for Miami.
Are you not rooting for the best game?
No. I don't care who wins tonight. I want Miami to win. It'd be good for the community. It'd be good for the station. Even though I am a Big Ten guy, I should be making a decision, and I'm hoping that a Big Ten team wins. But selfishly, I want Miami to win for a number of reasons. Number one, they beat Ohio State. Okay, let's not get it twisted.
Let's validate that.
And number two, as Christian mentioned to us in our group chat last night, it's great for the station. It's great. It's great for our station, and it's great for all of us that do shows here in South Florida. So, but yeah, I'm the only person in the country that doesn't like Indiana. I'm literally the only person in the country that can't stand Indiana.
Christian Cat is our producer today behind the glass. He is a Miami supporter himself. Christian, do you have a rooting interest in tonight's game as well, the Peach Bowl, Oregon, Indiana?
as someone that can't claim Miami football fandom, I will answer if I was a Miami fan. If I am a Miami Hurricanes fan, I am
You're a supporter. You're not a fan. You're
exactly,
a supporter.
Exactly. I've been rooting for Miami in every single game they played this season, except for the Gators game, so I like Florida too. But you got to root for the worst team to win tonight. You want a national championship.
I don't like that.
You're not a Miami fan, so you can gamble with somebody else's team's fate, but you're counting championships, not good games against the best. Sure, the best case scenario, if we wake up on January 20th, the Tuesday after the national championship game, and we see Miami beats Indiana in a thriller. That's the best case scenario.
Right.
That's also a less likely scenario if Oregon wins.
So
if
you're
Oregon
almost,
wins this game,
it's a little, it's out of fear in some capacity. Fear might not be the right word, but intimidation of Indiana.
playing the numbers game. Like, you look at Vegas, the spread will be 3 or 4.5 if it's Miami versus Indiana, with Indiana favored on the road. And the spread would be Oregon minus 1.5 if it's Miami hosting Oregon.
Is that official?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was official as of SportsCenter last night. So that's what I got for you there.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know. I was curious about that. I thought Miami would be favored against Oregon.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe. Just because how well Miami, or excuse me, our laptop died here, Colin. Hang on, let me plug this in.
The one thing is with Oregon is I'm surprised that Oregon would be favored in that game. After what we've seen with Miami, I'm surprised that Oregon would be favored by minus 1.5. According to SportsCenter, that's according to Christian Cat and SportsCenter. So I guess we have to wait and see.
I haven't bought Oregon all year, but to be fair, I sat on my high horse wrongfully.
That could be another team that proves us wrong.
I wrongfully sat on a high horse because of my team. So, who knows? Maybe Dante Moore has his come-out game. You saw Carson Beck have his come-out game, his signature moment. Maybe this is Dante Moore's signature moment. I tend to believe there's too much magic with Indiana, though. I mean, Cignetti, as much as I can't stand him, he's a phenomenal coach. Mendoza's the number one pick. It's really hard to hate Mendoza because he's such a phenomenal kid. But, I see this going Indiana's way in a big way. I mean, 38-3. Christian, I know Alabama is somewhat overrated, but 38-3 against the Tide?
I mean, it's one of those games
38-3?
It validates anybody. I don't care how bad Alabama is. It validates anybody.
38-3 against, to Colin's credit, that school and that team. I mean, they put them. Alabama fans were inconsolable after that game, not scoring a touchdown.
We got 3 Big Ten allegiances here sitting around a circle right now with Christian Cat, Mike Rizzo, and Colin Russo. I'm a Wisconsin fan, so I got real no dog in the fight. I don't have any intimidation towards Indiana because my team stinks. But why are we sitting here not rooting for the best game possible? I don't understand.
Because I can't stand both teams. I can't stand both teams. That's the issue. I wish they could tie. And I wish Miami could just outright win the national championship, and we could just celebrate Miami at the Orange Bowl. Christian, not even have to play a game, just have it be a giant party on the field.
All right, so if I'm going to get selfish with it and put away any rooting interest for Miami and now reveal my true self, which is a Penn State fan, I would root for classic Big Ten team Indiana, proving that anyone can win a national championship or anyone can play for a national championship with winning tonight.
I'm surprised you're pro Indiana as much as you've been all year, Christian. That surprises me, being a Penn State guy.
Yeah, I've got bitter Penn State fans that don't like Indiana because they're kind of just jealous, flat out. That should be us. They skipped the line. Penn State has spent decades trying to get up to the level of Ohio State, and now you have a flash pass for Kurt Cignetti and Indiana to not just meet Ohio State but exceed Ohio State, and they're extremely bitter about that. But no, that gives me more of a sign of hope, making the dynasty that it felt like we were about to live through in Ohio State much more human than I would have admitted on January 25th of 2025.
Yep.
I see the vision. Miami playing well would be good for everything in South Florida, no doubt. No doubt. It'd be fun to see a private school win a championship again. I believe since USC. I think Chris Swager was right on that in that call-out he gave us on Wednesday. But so that would be fun. It'd be fun to see a South Florida team, a new dog, come back into the fold. You're going to get that regardless because of Oregon and Indiana not being champions themselves. But best game possible is Indiana, the best team available, still trying to go for an undefeated season, really put a cap on it, versus Miami, who has home field, has a little bit of momentum. You know it's going to be a defensive game with a lot of pros all over the place. And also another thing about Oregon that I don't like is I don't think the Oregon fans, I know it's the national championship, I don't think they travel as well because they went to South Florida, 2 weeks ago? 9 days ago they were in South Florida. We're going to ask the Oregon fan to go cross-country once again. That's where I would say I would rather Indiana because I think Indiana fans would travel more.
Yeah.
You don't want that to be a 90-10 Miami Stadium. It wouldn't be with Indiana. It wouldn't be with Indiana.
The reports right now of the Peach Bowl are that entire city is crimson and cream right now.
Wow.
A lot of Indiana, and nowhere to be found are the Oregon fans at the Peach Bowl in Atlanta.
It's hard. I mean, I can't. It's hard to blame for that. It's a lot easier to get from Indy to Atlanta than it is to get from Eugene or Portland to Atlanta or on top of that, Miami. And they already went to Miami 2 weeks ago. It was New Year's Day. Talking about a Monday night MLK Day, we got to fly back to Oregon after that. So that's where I don't want a 90-10 Miami Stadium. I want a 60-40 Miami Stadium.
Give me the Asylum. Give me the Asylum. I want to see a home game.
You know it's going to turn in 90.
They will not do 90-10 if Indiana's in the national championship.
I think dude, I don't see how it's not.
Indiana will travel pretty well.
I don't see how it's not.
Remember, you're talking about a $2,000 ticket. You're talking about Miami. I get it, but that will be a favored Miami stadium. But Indiana will travel.
And you know what? It kind of makes sense in terms of the budgets for both Oregon and Indiana. Indiana has had plenty of time to save for these college football trips that they're going to go on both this season and seasons in the foreseeable future. Oregon's been across the world, it feels like, the past several years with how good their team's been. So they had to go to Indy last year. They had to go to the Rose Bowl last year. That season got cut short. This year, they're playing on the West Coast. So if they want to go to a big-time road game in conference, they got to fly country no matter what. Like you said, they played Oregon here in South Florida, and they had that home game against JMU. So Indiana's got money in their personal fans' budget. They're not wring dry like some of the other fans are.
And it'll be a big deal for the Indiana fan to try to even out the home field advantage as best they can. That will be a point to be made amongst the body of fans, is they know they're walking into an opposing home field, but they know that they will have equal right to get tickets on top of that. So that's why I think they'll travel.
Keep in mind, boys, the game that Ohio State and Miami were originally supposed to play in was the Orange Bowl. And then they switched it because they feared that it would be a home game for Miami, which didn't necessarily make much sense anyway.
I don't think that's how it went, but yes. I don't know if that's how it went.
That's exactly how it went.
I believe you get to choose your bowl game that you get to play in.
No, they made it the Cotton Bowl so it wouldn't be a home game for Miami, which made absolutely no sense and had Buckeye fans going, huh? Because A&M is in Texas, which is why we got really confused at the time. But they did that. They switched it to make sure Miami did not have a home game. I think it was nonetheless because that's where they play their games. And obviously the Aggies play at the 12th man.
I think it's about the choosing. Let's double check that. We'll check that in the break because I'm pretty sure Indiana had first dibs and they chose the Rose Bowl. So I could be wrong there. But and Ohio State, what were they, number 2, number 3? They're number 2. I'm pretty sure they chose the Cotton Bowl. But I could be wrong. Nonetheless. We'll take a timeout here. We got another hour as we are at the kickoff to the championship because Oregon, Indiana is tonight, 7:30 on ESPN. We will be live on site to the kickoff to the championship hosted by the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood. We'll take a timeout here. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Today's tax tip is brought to you by Anshin Accountants and Advisors with George Teixeira, partner and practice leader of Anshin's Financial Services Group.
When launching a private investment fund, proper structuring could mean the difference between high tax bills and smart tax savings. The new One Big Beautiful Bill Act permanently extends the 20% deduction on qualified business income, makes favorable changes to exclusions of gains of qualified small business stock, and brings back full expensing on capital investments. For fund managers, this means new opportunities to reduce taxable income and improve cash flow. At Anshin, a partner-owned firm since 1923, we specialize in building tax-efficient structures that help funds and their investors make the right decisions today for greater success tomorrow. If you are launching a fund in this new environment, let Anshin deliver value where others can't.
For more tax tips from Anshin, visit Anshin.com. That's ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, helping you recalculate what's possible.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Want to accelerate your career as a manager or executive in the exciting industry of sports? Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program is ranked #1 in Florida and 10th in the world. Students learn practical and applied skills from top faculty and experts who work in the industry. With a 94% placement rate for all grads, the full-time MBA program sets students up for success in the world of sports. Check out Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program today by going to business.fau.edu.
Ready to take on any terrain? The all-new Defender 110 P300S is here. Built for those who crave adventure without compromising on luxury. Lease the powerful Defender 110 P300S for just $849 per month for 36 months. Whether you're tackling the toughest roads or cruising the city, the Defender is ready for it all. Don't wait. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and experience the Defender like never before. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Colin, have you checked out Vitacost Sport Certified Marketplace?
Vitacost? I love Vitacost!
Right? It's a full online sports marketplace. Over 500 performance products from trusted brands like Vega, Thorne, Vital Proteins, and Muscle Milk, all free from banned substances.
So no guessing, no label scrubbing, just clean fuel to train harder and recover smarter.
You got it. And don't forget, save 20% with code ESPN20 at sportcertified.com.
Fuel clean, train smarter. Try Sports Certified by Vitacost today.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WESP Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Hi, I'm Scott Smith with Smith Ball Baez and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. As you have likely seen and heard, law firm advertising is at an all-time high. Attorney ads seem to be part of every radio and TV commercial segment. Some firms are even using paid actors and actresses to speak for them. At Smith Ball Baez and Prather, we know that the decision to hire a law firm should never be based on advertisements alone. It is our past results and many positive 5-star reviews that we encourage you to read at smithball.com to learn more about our law firm. We have board-certified lawyers. We have lawyers listed in the best lawyers in America and in super lawyers. But most importantly, we have experienced lawyers located right here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast that are ready to be your advocate and your voice, and fully prepared to start fighting for your legal rights today. Our purpose, legal power. Our mission, huge results. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smith Ball Baez and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smith Ball Baez and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Hey guys, Mike Rizzo here. I know you're moving soon. Don't stress it. Call Good Greek for your total relocation solution. From packing and storage to local and long-distance moves, Spiro and his team at Good Greek Moving and Storage has you covered from start to finish. Trusted by families, businesses, and teams like the Heat and the Hurricanes for over 2 decades. Make your next move simple, safe, and stress-free.
Good Greek Moving and Storage. Your superhero movers.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Colin to the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Live here from Seminole Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood. It is Russo and Rizzo continuing on with the kickoff to the championship. We are live on site here to watch some Indiana-Oregon action, which will be kicking off 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. It is Colin Russo and Mike Rizzo continuing onward here past our normal hours. Up until 7 p.m. we got you today. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X. YouTube at ESPN South Florida, Facebook and Twitter at ESPN West Palm. Damian Perez, hockey subs in for Christian Cat behind the glass up in City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. And you got a lot to look forward to today, including the Baptist Health College Football Playoff Trophy Trot, Taste of the Championship, all things that are happening tonight. Volunteer opportunities are still available for all these spots for the type of events that are going to be taking place here between now and the National Championship, which is going to be taking place at Hard Rock Stadium. So the Orange Bowl Committee is going to have their hands full as they're going to see University of Miami representing the ACC and representing home field in the National Championship for college football next Monday, playing the winner of tonight's game, Indiana and Oregon. Sticking on Hard Rock Stadium, but on the professional side of things, the Miami Dolphins have made their official hire of their next general manager. John Eric Sullivan, who is a Packers executive, has been there for over 20 years, was hired back in the early 2000s and has been there ever since, was highly lauded. He was with the Packers for 22 years, highly lauded executive. The Dolphins, despite John Harbaugh being available, and despite John Harbaugh sort of calling his own shot, they wanted to have a general manager in place for these head coaching interviews. Doesn't sound like they're willing to just throw the bank at John Harbaugh and just see if we'll do whatever you want, John, we'll make it happen. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It seems like they're going to have a plan. I don't know if I could blame them for that, but what I do know is that people like this guy.
He was a right-hand man to Gutekunst, the current GM of the Green Bay Packers, and he's an Aikman guy. And listen,
Troy Aikman, who was involved in the hiring of him as a consultant.
Correct. And I told Colin last hour, I'm a big Troy Aikman guy. I think his knowledge of football is extensive. And if Aikman is going to go to bat for him, I think it's going to be a home run hire. Listen, you rather have a plan than just let's have Harbaugh bail us out. That's my 2 cents on it. Like, Harbaugh is obviously a Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl winning coach, and I think any team is better off with him. But if this is the direction that the Dolphins want to go, I actually applaud him. This, Sullivan could be the next big thing. And you think the Packers are well run, Kyle? Mm-hmm. Okay, I know that they're 9-7 this year, and the rumor is that they could be getting rid of LaFleur. But at the same time, the Packers have been just one of the more stable organizations in the history of the league. I was about to say in the last 20, 30 years. No, in the history of the league, dating back to the merger between the AFL and the NFL. So I can't sit here and condemn a decision that the Dolphins made and hold out for Jim Harbaugh. And I understand there are a lot of Dolphin fans going, oh, now we're out of the Harbaugh sweepstakes. Let's hope that Ross and company have a plan with what they want to do. I actually think this is a pretty good hire. I do. I think it's a pretty good hire.
How about this? John Eric Sullivan, here's a little tidbit if Miami Dolphins fans are looking for something to just chew on if they think they're out on the sweepstakes. John Eric Sullivan has been with the Packers for 22 years. He was hired when Bob Harlan was the president and CEO of the Packers. John Harbaugh's agent, Brian Harlan. Who's Brian Harlan? Bob Harlan's son. So there's a connection there in terms of John Eric Sullivan's representation with the Packers, his relationships he built there, and also potentially with the representation of John Harbaugh. Other ones that obviously come to mind are Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator for the Packers. Mike McCarthy comes to mind because Mike McCarthy was there when John Eric Sullivan was there as well, and that's winning a Super Bowl when he was involved in the front office, so there's definitely going to be a connection there. I'd make a guess today that both those guys are going to get interviews because adopting the Packer way is not a bad strategy by any stretch, and I think Packers now have a lot of pressure on them because not only does this Packer executive get a big job with a team that's looking to completely reload, the Packers are a looming contract extension territory for Matt LaFleur, which we talked about earlier this week.
Right.
But he's got 1 year left in his contract. It's been a big ongoing negotiation. Packers don't want to give him the money that LaFleur thinks he's deserved. I think they want to give him around $12 million, something like that, just shooting from the hip, $15 million. And he wants probably near $20 million. I know we don't hear a lot about contract negotiations amongst coaches, but it happens. And on top of that, if the Packers were to lose this weekend in one of the biggest games they've had in recent memory against the division rival and the Bears on Saturday night, then all of a sudden the Packers could think, boy, we don't want to pay LaFleur, but there was a more proven commodity who we'd have to pay good money to sitting right there in John Harbaugh. So I think there's actually a lot of pressure, there's not a lot of pressure on the Dolphins situation because they're going to let this play out now they have a guy running the whole search. But the most pressure this weekend in terms of contractually, politically, in terms of who's going to run what and who's going to stay is the Packers.
Would you be okay if Mr. Sullivan hired LaFleur if he got the can from Green Bay?
Yeah,
I would.
I think the
That'd
Dolphin
be a dream
fans,
scenario.
I think the Dolphin fans should run up and down the street.
You know, I asked you halfway trolling. I mean, seriously though, all right? Maybe the writing's on the wall. Maybe the writing's already on the wall. Maybe this is a situation.
They're getting somebody with the Packer way. Yeah.
Maybe, but what I'm saying is, I don't know. And listen, I'm shooting from the hip here. I like to think that unless Harbaugh won a Super Bowl, he was probably out in Baltimore. Maybe that's the case in Green Bay right now. Maybe that's the best kept secret in the building is that, you know, at season's end, because my 2 cents, by the way, I don't think the Packers, with the injuries that they've had, I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl. With that said, when they exit from the playoffs, if that be to the Bears, if that be the next round, whatever that may be, I think there's an understanding. There could be, rather, an understanding that LaFleur is already going to be out and they're going to move on. If that's the case, you could book him to Miami. I think he would take the job too.
Because now all of a sudden, if it's about money,
yeah.
he loves the guy. He likes the
100%.
general manager.
He would get his $20 million, all right? And I think in LaFleur's eyes, I know I've said on these very airwaves that the Tua situation is a blemish on the franchise. I think he would actually be willing to take that on because I think he would have the understanding.
Maybe they trade him, and maybe
that's it. And I think he would have the understanding that he would be able to hand select a quarterback. I'm not sure, and we've talked about this, I'm not sure if LaFleur hand selected Jordan Love. Not sure about that. I think that was an organizational thing to the contract and the whole thing.
Well, there's a lot of questions about it because there was 3 years
And I'm
left
speculating.
really of the Rodgers experiment
And
before Love even got a chance to play, and it was a reach as it is, a Utah State quarterback mid-first round when Rodgers desperately needed offensive help.
I'm speculating. That's why I said I'm shooting from the hip here. All right.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I understand your point.
But LaFleur and Rodgers, were like this, very close. All right. If you remember, Big Mike McCarthy got the axe because Rodgers couldn't stand him anymore. Bring in the hot shot coordinator, Matt LaFleur. What, he won 2 MVPs with LaFleur?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think there's a disconnect. I don't know if the disconnect with LaFleur and the Packer organization is the quarterback. I don't know what it is, but there's clearly something going on right now. Because usually where there's smoke, there's fire when it comes to these reports that, hey, this could be the last playoffs
it's
for
plucking
Matt LaFleur.
season. There's a lot of pressure on Green Bay, not only to perform this weekend, but they got a lot of distractions right now. They're going into the postseason with 4 straight losses. They're going into a home road divisional rival playoff game against a team that is fiending for a chance to bury Green Bay on the national stage. And on top of that, they got a coach who's got a looming contract extension hanging over their head. They got a big executive who just took a big job with the Miami Dolphins who will try to pluck as many as he can from Green Bay. And you got a quarterback who hasn't been healthy. So there's a lot of what if with Green Bay right now, and I don't think that's a good vibe to have going into the postseason because you got to focus up. You're on a short week. You're playing on a Saturday night on the road. It's going to be cold, and if they lose, something will change. Something will change. You get a new CEO in there. Mark Murphy is done as the president of the Packers. So there's a lot of new right now, and there's a lot of question marks around that team. I'm not trying to speak it into existence. And if the Packers are not going to pay for LaFleur, why would they pay for Harbaugh? So there's a question you have there.
Now let's take LaFleur out of it. Let's take Harbaugh out of it. I still think both very much so in the running for the Dolphin job. With that said, if it's not one of those two, do you think it's the defensive coordinator right now currently that is with the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, Jeff Hafley is somebody that comes to mind. I don't know what type of coach they would get. I think they're just kind of, if Aikman's involved, they're just trying to get the right guy.
Forgive me, I think
they're not going to try to find the mold, then place the guy into the mold.
They need a butt kicker. That's it. That's what they need. In my opinion, unless it's Matt LaFleur, all right, who's really, the hot shot off my coach, what I want, a head coach and play caller. But if they don't get that, get a butt kicker.
I don't like the way you're thinking about it because you're trying to set the mold, then find the guy. They should find the guy, and then whatever mold he is, that's the guy. You should find the right leader for the team, and that's what I think. And Aikman will be involved with that, and the general manager will be involved with that. I think that's what he'll try to do.
I think Aikman would be more along the lines of me, where you need a leader of men. You're going to need a guy that's going to really control a locker room. And listen, McDaniel and those boys, they played inspired for, 4 or 5 games straight? They won 4 games in a row. This wasn't like the year before where there were rumors that the locker room was just an absolute nightmare.
And the Packers have issues with getting up for the game. That has been a LaFleur blemish his whole career.
Yeah.
The Brown game, that come to mind?
It does.
Talk about getting up for the game. Get week in
Defense
and week
played out of their bums that day, but I understand
You know what I mean?
the point.
But offensively, they have days where they do not get out of bed. And they got out of bed for Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later, they blow up. That's just how they've been.
To that point, that's why I have so many questions for Jordan Love and that Packer offense in general. Like, how many times have I asked it, Kyle, what do you think of Jordan Love? The reason I keep asking is because you lack that consistency with him. He's going to throw for 4 touchdowns one game, and then he's going to look like a bottom half quarterback the next game.
On top of that, I do think the coach is inconsistent, too.
There's something to that. There's something to that. That's why I keep asking the questions. Is LaFleur a Love guy? Is LaFleur the right coach for Love? However way you want to look at it, there is a problem with that offense and the inconsistencies that come with it.
So let's play through a couple hypotheticals. Give me a yes or no on if you would take this potential candidate to be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
So you would take, let's get this out of the way, Harbaugh, and let's say Matt LaFleur opens up. You take that in a second.
I think they would be both home runs, 2 top coaches on the market if LaFleur and the Packers decide to part ways.
Would you get Mike McCarthy?
Absolutely not.
You would not do Mike McCarthy?
No, I think it's a joke that he's getting interviews in 2026.
All right, what about Clint Kubiak, offensive coordinator for Seattle Seahawks?
I like to take a shot on young offensive coordinators. You mentioned that you get burned sometimes. You know, Matt Nagy, etc. There are plenty of instances where it didn't work out. Mike McDaniel, worked out for a couple of years, but got stale in years 4 and 5. But, yes, I would be in on the hot shot Clint Kubiak, who calls the offense as well.
Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator for the Rams.
Absolutely. Comes with the name. Listen, I hear Shula, I think football. That guy knows what he's doing.
Okay. How about that? And what about Vance Joseph?
No. Good on Vance Joseph. He was the Bronco head coach before.
Yeah,
it was awful.
We've seen it.
And it was awful. You want to know what
Raheem Morris.
Absolutely not. You want to know what those two remind me of? It'd be like a Steve Wilkes situation. Remember Steve Wilkes? He was the former head coach
of the Cardinals.
I think he even had a stint with the Panthers, but
he did.
They're coordinators.
He took over after Rule.
They're great. And listen, Steve Wilkes knows a lot of football. All right, good coordinator. I think those guys are coordinators. I would not be in on either 3 of those guys.
Wow. And you would take any of the Jaguars offensive or defensive coordinator?
I'd take Grant Udinsky for the Browns yesterday. And Grant Udinsky is the 29-year-old offensive coordinator that doesn't even call the plays for the Jags. I want that I want a piece of that state-of-the-art offense. Coach of the year. That would be
a bad hire.
I want a piece of that state-of-the-art offense that Liam Cohen is running with the Jags.
That would be a bad hire.
McVay was hired at 20.
McVay.
No,
McVay
you just don't want to
is
lose your coaches. Fair point to you. You just don't want to lose your coaches.
That's
not how this league works.
You get plucked. Call plays.
Brother, you get plucked. Yeah, listen, you just don't want to lose the staff. I understand.
Mike,
you have a rooting interest for it.
At least McVay was calling plays for the Redskins.
You have a rooting interest for it. You're going to get plucked, all right? I don't know what to tell you.
At least McVay was calling plays.
Listen, Colin, the Browns were interviewing Tommy Reese the other day, okay? I would take Grant Udinsky in a heartbeat.
If you're the Miami Dolphins, do you take Kevin Stefanski? That's an interesting
one. See, that's tough. That's tough.
I would.
Why do I think
love it? I wouldn't love it, but I would.
I think Stefanski's the Giants, the Cardinals, or the Titans. But sure, listen, I like Coach Stefanski. I do. I think he got a bad rap in Cleveland with the Watson deal. He never really had his quarterback. And when he did have his quarterbacks, a la Baker Mayfield, Joe Flacco, who's going to throw the ball where they're told for the most part, they had their best season.
Here's what you like about him. They played hard for him. They played hard for him.
Listen.
It was more political off-field stuff than it was on-field.
Bias aside, I would take it for the Miami Dolphins. I would. He is a guy who I think if he has his quarterback and his system in place, I think it's going to work. The issue that he ran into in Cleveland is that he was never able to have his system because he kept getting quarterbacks thrown at him like Watson and Sanders who don't fit the Stefanski mold.
Last one here. Would the Miami Dolphins take Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers?
No, he's a cheater.
Because of the Michigan ties?
Bias aside.
Because of the Michigan ties?
Bias aside, he's a great head coach candidate, and I actually think he is going to be a good head coach. I think the Dolphins have to make a decision if they want to go offense or defense. You know where I lie. I like the head coach and play callers. But if they want to go with the no-nonsense defensive guy, sure. I think Minter would probably be the best one, but I'd rather have the Green Bay guy just because he has ties to the general manager already.
Yeah, the thing about that
I'd rather
is
go with the Green
you
Bay
could be
one.
the Dan Campbells of the world and be leader of men, but even them, the Lions, despite, they had injuries, especially in the secondary, but mostly offensively, those guys were there every week, and they lost their offensive coordinator because he's not an offensive play calling coach. I know he has offensive play calling experience, but because of that, they felt that, and they actually missed the postseason in a lot of ways because of that. So when you're a play calling head coach, you have less of an offensive drop-off when offensive talent and the coaching positions get plucked. But it happens to everybody. Leader of men guys, they feel it here and there. Like the Ravens had weird years when they were shifting out into the Greg Roman into Todd Monken offenses. So it's not been completely foreign to see this be a problem for the leader of men style of coach. And whereas Sean McVay just pumps out different coaching candidates on either side year in and year out, and he replaces them.
The standards at the head, obviously Andy Reid and the GOATs like that. But the new hot shot coaches, you think of McVay, you think of Shanahan, and I think Liam Cohen's right there behind him. I mean, that is my dream. Those three coaches, that's who I want coaching my team. A head coach, play caller, and at the same time can handle the clock and is a no-nonsense guy and lives and breathes football. They got to pull all three of those guys that I just mentioned out of the facility because they're there too much. I'm sure each of those guys has a bunker at the facility because they're always there. That's the coach that I want. Find me my state-of-the-art offense. Please. Find the Dolphins their state-of-the-art offense and one of those guys.
They had a state-of-the-art offense with Mike McDaniel.
But he didn't. Here's the thing. He wasn't like McVay, Shanahan.
He wasn't a motivator.
And Exactly. He wasn't. It's
hard to find that.
I'll call it a leader of men.
I'm fine with saying that. It's hard to find a motivator.
I'm fine with saying that cliche. He wasn't a leader of men. He was their buddy.
Getting them out of bed every game was a problem for him.
Correct. He was the guy who wanted to go, and listen, I know McDaniel is sober like me, but it's just a figure of speech. He was the guy who wanted to go to the bar with them after the game. You know what I'm saying? He was the guy who wanted to be buddy-buddy with them. McVay wanted nothing to do. He wanted no nonsense.
Hasn't seen outside since August. He hasn't seen outside since
Correct.
August.
That's why he's so, that's why he doesn't have a tan. He's like me. I live in South Florida. I don't have a tan.
Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Damian Perez, Russo and Rizzo, an extended version here at the kickoff to the championship at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino and Hotel down here in Hollywood, Florida. We're going to have Indiana, Oregon a little later on. We'll talk to Jack Seiler of the Orange Bowl Committee a little later on as well. Maybe a couple guests as we continue onward here, getting closer to kickoff with Indiana, Oregon at 7:30 on ESPN. That's Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Today's tax tip is brought to you by Anshin Accountants and Advisors with Robert Gilman, partner and leader of Anshin's Real Estate Group.
Under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, 100% bonus depreciation has been permanently reinstated. Real estate businesses are now able to immediately expense the full cost of qualifying property. Even projects with millions in improvements can benefit from first-year expensing without any spending cap. At Anshin, a partner-owned firm since 1923, we strategically guide real estate businesses through these legislative changes to help them develop a long-term investment strategy and boost cash flow. If you're a real estate professional looking to enhance profitability and minimize tax liabilities, let Anshin deliver value where others can't.
For more tax tips from Anshin, visit Anshin.com. That's ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, helping you recalculate what's possible.
Colin, have you checked out Vitacost Sport Certified Marketplace?
Vitacost? I love Vitacost!
Right? It's a full online sports marketplace. Over 500 performance products from trusted brands like Vega, Thorne, Vital Proteins, and Muscle Milk, all free from banned substances.
So no guessing, no label scrubbing, just clean fuel to train harder and recover smarter.
You got it. And don't forget, save 20% with code ESPN20 at sportcertified.com.
Fuel clean, train smarter. Try Sports Certified by Vitacost today.
Ready to take on any terrain? The all-new Defender 110 P300S is here. Built for those who crave adventure without compromising on luxury. Lease the powerful Defender 110 P300S for just $849 per month for 36 months. Whether you're tackling the toughest roads or cruising the city, the Defender is ready for it all. Don't wait. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and experience the Defender like never before. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
As teams fight for their shot to hoist the trophy, make sure the only thing turning up the heat is the action on the field. Keep your home in the win column with EDS Air Conditioning. Qualified customers can score 0% interest for 60 months on a brand new AC. Hot streaks belong in the postseason, not in your living room. With more than 800 Google reviews and a 4.8-star rating, EDS has been the trusted MVP since 2006. Visit EDSIsYes.com today. Stay cool through every playoff moment and don't sweat the small stuff.
Hey guys, Mike Rizzo here. I know you're moving soon. Don't stress it. Call Good Greek for your total relocation solution. From packing and storage to local and long-distance moves, Spiro and his team at Good Greek Moving and Storage has you covered from start to finish. Trusted by families, businesses, and teams like the Heat and the Hurricanes for over 2 decades. Make your next move simple, safe, and stress-free.
Good Greek Moving and Storage. Your superhero movers.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
On ESPN 106.3.
Vidacost Sports Certified Marketplace, it's the place to be if you're an athlete trying to get better physically. You understand that just showing up to the gym, that's about 20% of the work, 25% of the work. The other 75% is how you fuel your body. That's nutrition, that's supplements, that's eating right. You got to understand that nutrition is the name of the game. That's where Vidacost comes in. Whether you're prepping for a race, a triathlon, grinding at the gym, trying to put on weight, just be a little bit more health conscious, Vidacost is your go-to for leveling up your game. They have a sports certified marketplace that has over 400 performance-enhancing supplements that are all certified, which means there's no banned substances involved. You know, there's no funny business going on. And it all helps you take that next step in your fitness journey. Visit Vitacost.com/sport-certified to make your purchase today. That's Vitacost.com/sport-certified to make your purchase today. Use code ESPN20. That's ESPN20 for 20% off. Level up your game at Vidacost. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo. We are live here at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, where we're going to have the kickoff to the championship watch party for Indiana, Oregon tonight in the Peach Bowl, kicking off at 7:30 on ESPN. Should be a good time. We'll talk to a couple Orange Bowl legends, a lot of the Orange Bowl committee, including Jack Seiler, who will jump on with us a little later on, former governor of Fort Lauderdale, and his grandfather is the father of the Orange Bowl, so looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
And so looking forward to that because that will be a lot of fun. But we got NFL playoff action this weekend. We got a whole lot of games between now and the time we'll be back on. There's going to be 1 college football playoff game and 5 NFL playoff games. We already said it earlier. The Miami game's out of the way. Which one are you most looking forward to this weekend?
You got 2. And I'll give you one in each conference. You got the Packers and the Bears in the NFC side. That's that Amazon game. And then you got the game you're going to be at coming up on Sunday. For those of you that don't know, Colin Russo, Jaguar fan, it's the Jags and the Buffalo Bills. So I think either way, who wins that Jag and Bill game, I think that team goes to the Super Bowl. With all due respect to Denver, with all due respect to New England, who would have home field unless those two faced off each other, and Denver on that point would have home field because they're the number 1 seed. Regardless, I don't trust any other team in the AFC. I don't. And if the Jags are able to dethrone the Bills, the only team who really has playoff experience and has been on playoff runs, that's good enough for me on the AFC side. And then let me get why I think it's the more important, why the NFC game and the Packers and the Bears is important. Because what we've been talking about, especially here in Miami, all right, if Matt LaFleur is fired, I think he is the coach of the Dolphins. I'm okay with saying that right now, all right? And not to mention, it's one of the biggest rivalries in the history of the NFL with the Bears and the Packers, dating back to the merger of the AFL and the NFL, all right? guys named Butkus, okay? Caleb Williams on the Chicago side, Ben Johnson on the, it seems like both teams in that game are at different trajectories right now. The Bears and the Ben Johnson era is just beginning, and the Packer era with Matt LaFleur could be ending. Fascinated by those two games, Kyle, coming up this weekend, respectively Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, Christian, Kat, and I will be at the game live for Jags Bills. We'll also be live on air on these very airwaves and streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X. YouTube at ESPN South Florida and Twitter and Facebook at ESPN West Palm from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Sunday, where we'll be talking to Jags fans live from the trunk of our car at a tailgate outside of Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville. So stay tuned for that. It should be a lot of fun. Not often do I get to laud the Jaguars. I'm going to do it right here because going into the playoff game, I have no opportunity. I don't know if I'll ever have an opportunity to do it again. Jacksonville, since Week 11, their NFL ranks in these categories are as follows. They are 8-0 in the NFL, and since Week 11, that is tied for first with Houston. They have 6 wins after trailing in that stretch. That is first in the NFL. They are averaging 33.6 points per game. That is first in the NFL. They are allowing 14.5 points per game. That is first in the NFL. Their point differential in that period is plus 153. That is first in the NFL. Their first down differential is plus 47, which means they have 47 more first downs than their opponents. That is first in the NFL. And lastly, takeaways, 14 since Week 11, first in the NFL. So all that tells you is that this team is buzzing in the right direction, going in the right direction at the right time. They're going to have a crucial guy out. Their left tackle is not going to play for this game if I had to make a prediction today, so I'm a little nervous about that. But what I do know is the key to the game will be, do you disrupt Josh Allen's tempo, his method, and can you stop the run? The Bills are 0-5 when James Cook does not have 100 yards rushing. Jacksonville is not allowed a 75-plus yard rusher all year. That is going to be the key to that game. We'll get into some more playoff games, but first we'll welcome in Jack Seiler after the break, the Orange Bowl committee member himself and former mayor of Fort Lauderdale will join us live on site here at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood. We will take a timeout. My name is Colin Russo. That is Mike Rizzo. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, this is Scott Smith of Smith, Ball, Baez, and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. I have said it many times before, and I will continue to say it for many years to come. There is never a good time for a car accident to occur, and most certainly never ever a good time to suffer injuries in any type of an accident. The accident and its overall aftermath will usually cause pain, difficulty, and stress. Florida law allows accident victims to recover compensation for such losses, injuries, and damages. But such recovery is often not obtained easily and can require a lengthy fight with an insurance company. If you've been injured in an accident, call us now. Don't delay. The initial consultation is completely free of charge. The sooner you call us, the sooner we can put our experienced legal team to work for you. Don't hesitate or pause for another minute. Our experience, knowledge, and resources could be working for you just minutes after the call. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smith, Ball, Baez, and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smith, Ball, Baez, and Prather, help is just a phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Colin Russo with Mike Rizzo here at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, where we got kickoff to the championship. We're going to be having a little watch party for Indiana, Oregon. A bunch of big-name people in the house. The Orange Bowl committee in the house. The host committee for the 2026 National Championship going to be in the house. Looking forward to that in the chair for the 2026 host committee. And former mayor of Fort Lauderdale, former chair executive for the Orange Bowl committee, Mr. Jack Seiler joins us now alongside Mike Rizzo and Colin Russo. Mr. Seiler, how are you doing today? What's going on?
I'm great. I'm delighted to be with you two guys. This is awesome to have this kind of talent down here in Broward County. You guys are normally spending that time in Palm Beach County.
And we don't get the call down, Jack.
Right.
You can make
Right.
Jack, don't act like you can make a couple calls and get us down to Broward a couple times a week if you need us to.
It is hard to get some of these guys out of Palm Beach that have this type of talent to come down and just slum for a little bit here in Broward County. But listen, we're delighted to have you here, and we're delighted. Really, the whole region's just delighted to be hosting this national championship. It's going to be a fabulous 10 days ahead of us.
And what does it add to the situation now that we know that the Miami Hurricanes, vying for their first national championship in over 20 years, are going to be playing in a pseudo home game at Hard Rock Stadium?
Well, I will tell you this. I know the Hurricane fans are excited, and they couldn't be more enthusiastic, but the pseudo home game is going to be interesting because the ticket allotment is equal. And that's the one great thing about these games is that, whatever Miami gets, it's going to be IU, Oregon getting those others. Obviously, there'll be some local fans that'll buy, but, IU hasn't been anywhere. When you look at them, they haven't been anywhere since 1945, right? And so they'll be coming. Oregon hasn't won a national title. They've played in a couple. Mm-hmm. But so, I think the excitement is going to be there with any one of these three schools.
And Jack, how does it feel to have Miami, back to, I guess, being Miami? You had all those great title runs. Was it 5 and 18 years from the 80s to the early 2000s? Is it good for our South Florida community to have Miami being a team like they are this year in the national championship?
I think it's great for the South Florida community. I think one of the important things we've seen with this new administration at Miami is they kind of return to the old style of let's recruit Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County.
Right.
I look at those great teams that Miami had in the 80s and 90s. Look at the number of kids that came out of Palm Beach County, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you had just a treasure trove of talent coming out of there, Broward County, and now you're seeing that with this team. You're watching that game last night. You're seeing kids out of, Shaman on American Heritage and St. Thomas and Cardinal Gibbons, and you're going, man, this is exciting. What's happening? And so it's a good time to be the rise of Miami again with all the talent we have here in South Florida.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the coach. Mario went to Miami. He's a Miami guy. I think a lot of it is how he has really put his, stamp on the program. You kept hearing him last night after the game. We're focused on 1-0. We're focused on 1-0. To the point where Scott Van Pelt in the interview afterwards was joking around with him. How important has Cristobal been, you think, in your eyes, Jack, of turning this thing around with Miami?
Well, I think it's been huge, but I think you noticed after the prior game when he recognized Jimmy Johnson, when he saw Jimmy got him out of Columbus High School.
Yep.
Jimmy recruited him. He recruited his teammates. And you see that, and then you see Mario now trying to do the same thing. One of the wild stories, I think, in this upcoming game is if it ends up IU Miami, the talk's going to be, how did Mario Cristobal not grab this amazing quarterback that's at IU who came out of his own high school?
Right.
But he's done such an unbelievable job getting the talent, and I think it's good for the South Florida community. As you said, it's been 20 years plus since they've been in this game, and I think it's going to be just an exciting 10 days. I'm looking forward to tonight's game to just kind of get an idea of, can Indiana look this good this many weeks over and over? I mean, other than the Penn State game, they haven't really looked even possibly.
They haven't bled. They haven't
Right.
bled at all.
Exactly. And I can't wait to see them tonight. Oregon, we just saw down here in the Orange Bowl, solid team, offensively, defensively. And so I think seeing what IU does against Oregon, I think earlier in the year they played, IU won by 10 points, if I remember.
Yep, Ed Outson.
Yeah, so we'll see. It's an exciting time.
And one thing that's Jack Seiler, of course, the chair for the host committee for the 2026 National Championship, coming to Hard Rock Stadium in just about 10 days. One thing we talked about before you jumped on, you have so much experience with the Orange Bowl. Of course, your grandfather being known as the founder of the Orange Bowl, Ernie Seiler himself. We'll get into him a little later. But you said there's a difference between the National Championship host committee and what we see with the Orange Bowl itself. But now you got a National Championship coming to town. And this is going to bounce around a little bit the next couple of years. But how much different is that than, for example, an Orange Bowl? What changes here now that the NCAA is involved with a specific championship game comparatively to the Orange Bowl?
Well, so what you have to realize, before this year, already we have hosted the most national championships at the Orange Bowl as a bowl.
Right.
We've had the most Heisman Trophy winners. We've had 90-plus years of just fabulous postseason football. Now with the new structure of the college football playoff, the bowls will rotate the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and that's why we're in a really good position here at the Orange Bowl. We've been lined up for a quarterfinal, semifinal, obviously exciting tournament-type football. And then the national championship, it rotates to communities. Mm-hmm. It's outside the bowl structure, rotates to communities. Our host committee is obviously very heavily influenced by the Orange Bowl committee. We've got just a great group of individuals working with us on this, and most of them have Orange Bowl committee connections. But the College Football Playoff wanted to see the communities and not the bowls host the championship game. Maybe remember they went 10 years, 10 different cities.
Right.
And that was sort of the way they wanted to make sure it's spread out across the country. And now we're back. We're obviously excited to host this one. We think there'll be more in the future. It will just be a host committee, not an Orange Bowl committee game.
Yep, and Jack, your grandfather obviously being one of the pioneers of the Orange Bowl, with everything you just explained there too, I mean, how great is it to see how far you guys have come? I mean, I mean the Orange Bowl. When I think of bowls, I think of the Orange Bowl and I think of the Rose Bowl. Yeah. Just how does that feel to see the Orange Bowl with where it's at here in 2026, hosting a national championship game and still being arguably one of the most relevant bowls in all of college
and basically
football.
Growing up through it. That's essentially it.
Yeah, no, you got both of you guys are 100% right. But what's important is not just the Orange Bowl hosting. You know, the Orange Bowl committee, if you will, we're stewards of the community. This is the South Florida community, and you guys know. I mean, you guys are on air every day. You know the passion here. You know the love for sports. You guys say something controversial, and all of a sudden everybody wants to jump on you guys for what you said. You say something great. I love these guys. That's South Florida. And so what we have been able to do as Orange Bowl committee, and we've harnessed that energy and that enthusiasm, that passion for college football, and we've turned that into the ability to host. When we were just at an event, we had the athletic director of Oregon along with the athletic director of Texas Tech, and he says, you know, you guys are known as a community that can host events across the country.
Yep.
And we're recognized for that, whether it's sports, whether it's entertainment, you know, whether it's music. We host here. We open up our doors and our arms and our hearts. I mean, I look at Palm Beach County, your sports commission, fantastic. I mean, you guys get it. You look at the activities coming here, you know, you cover it. Mm-hmm. You got college football coming. You got polo coming. You've got, you know, every sport across the spectrum. And I think South Florida loves to embrace and welcome these sports. And I think South Florida then loves to turn around and embrace and welcome all the visitors and the tourists that come in support of these sports. So it's an exciting time.
So for those who don't know the history of the Orange Bowl, your grandfather, Jack, Ernie Seiler, known to many as the father of the Orange Bowl, when you decide that you need to, in the late 1930s, that you need to get a bowl game to South Florida, it's a little different than nowadays, potentially, establishing a bowl game. So give us a little bit of a rundown of what it took back then to establish a bowl game such as the Orange Bowl.
So you can tell this story now because the statute of limitations has run on this. But so in 32 and 33, they started a thing called the Palm Festival. And that was a football game that was going to be held here in South Florida. 34, they decided they're going to move it bigger, Orange Bowl. Its purpose was to bring tourism, to bring economic activity. Think about what's happening in 34. all the hurricanes that came through in the late 20s wiped out South Florida. You've got the Depression. You've got all, the stock market collapse. You've got all that stuff going on. And my grandfather and a couple community leaders said, let's try to create something that'll bring tourists to South Florida. And obviously it's football, right? So who are you bringing? 10,000 American males. So the first fundraising for the Orange Bowl, and it's a classic story, the sheriff of Miami-Dade County gets appointed the treasurer of the Orange Bowl. He then goes to the bookies, the brothels, and the bootleggers, and he imposes a tax.
You had the money at the time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's the
You had all
30s.
money.
That's the 30s for you.
And
Come on, man.
And here's the pitch. I'm bringing 10,000 American males to South Florida, guys. You're in for X, you're in for X, and you're in for X. So you got the bookies, the brothels, and the bootleggers, and they funded the first Orange Bowl that actually had to pay the teams to come down, transport down. 35. We now get a little bit feet under us. By 36, CBS Radio comes. That's the famous Ted Husing broadcasting
Absolutely.
the game. CBS Radio picks up the game. It takes off from there. Next thing you know, Orange Bowl Stadium's expanded. And then as you and I were talking about just before we went on air, 39, Tennessee, Oklahoma, the first national championship game in the Orange Bowl. Great story there is Tennessee's undefeated. They are waiting. They're sitting there. General Neyland coaching Tennessee. And he wants to play a major team for the championship. Oklahoma's not sure they want to come. My grandfather flies about 5 young ladies from Miami Beach out to Oklahoma and puts them on the campus, and they paint the sidewalks. We want Tennessee onto Miami, and the whole thing is staged. They think the student body did it, and then these players come out, and they got these women from South Beach. Even then, not sure what they were wearing.
Yes.
Reputation.
Even then,
yes.
they come out, and these guys from Oklahoma are like, yeah, we want Tennessee. We'll take them on. They come to the Orange Bowl. It becomes the first legendary Orange Bowl game, national championship. And now since then, we've hosted the most. And really what happened after that, I'll say 39 put us finally totally on the map, and then radio started funding all of it. Something happened to AC Ducey and those bookies.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you what. Your grandfather's a smart guy, Jack. I'll tell you that, partner.
No,
smart
but they're all long gone, and then TV came in, and we obviously became the first major bowl game at night.
Yep.
And it just took off from there, and we've had a great run.
Now, what's your most fondest memory of the actual games at the Orange Bowl? Do you have a game where you pinpoint where, like, that's the one that I'll always remember?
I would have to say the Miami's first national championship, just because of the underdog role that UM played. Snellenberger.
Was that 83?
83.
Yeah.
Uncle B.
And when you think, and again, talk about Palm Beach County, the number of players on that team out of Palm Beach County, but you're sitting there, and here's Miami taking on the biggest team in the country, probably the most successful coach. That game to me is amazing because it didn't just assist the Orange Bowl in terms of our exposure and the television coverage and media coverage, but it put Miami on the map.
Yep.
And it's the reason they've had the success they've had. I think that game stunned college football, and it still has lasting impact today.
Wow. Well, Jack, we appreciate the time. Are you allowed to make a game prediction or no?
I do not make a game prediction.
Does not make a game prediction? I thought I'd ask.
No, hang on. I heard also, Jack, I have to ask. I heard you're a Notre Dame fan. Is that true?
So I went.
Now, I got to hear this. You grew up in South Florida, partner. You were the mayor of Lauderdale, for God's sakes. How the hell are you a Notre Dame fan here?
So I went to Notre Dame.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Then I went to
that debunks it. Okay, never mind.
Then I went to law school at the University of Miami.
I see.
And then 2 of my daughters went to Notre Dame. And
gosh, Catholic versus cons. You are literally both. You were both.
I probably qualify for both too.
Jack, we appreciate the time. We appreciate you giving us a little bit of insight into the Orange Bowl. Looking forward to talking again soon.
Thank you, guys. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Love you listening.
Absolutely.
Former mayor of Fort Lauderdale, current former Orange Bowl chair member on the committee, and current national championship host committee chairman himself. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, taking the time out here on Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Calling all sports fans, grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
Today's tax tip is brought to you by Anshin Accountants and Advisors with George Teixeira, partner and practice leader of Anshin's Financial Services Group.
When launching a private investment fund, proper structuring could mean the difference between high tax bills and smart tax savings. The new One Big Beautiful Bill Act permanently extends the 20% deduction on qualified business income, makes favorable changes to exclusions of gains of qualified small business stock, and brings back full expensing on capital investments. For fund managers, this means new opportunities to reduce taxable income and improve cash flow. At Anshin, a partner-owned firm since 1923, we specialize in building tax-efficient structures that help funds and their investors make the right decisions today for greater success tomorrow. If you are launching a fund in this new environment, let Anshin deliver value where others can't.
For more tax tips from Anshin, visit Anshin.com. That's ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, helping you recalculate what's possible.
Mayor of Fort Lauderdale joining us down on Russo and Rizzo. That's Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo. Closing things out, we got about a little over 30 minutes till game time. We're watching from the kickoff to the championship presented by the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood. So should be a grand old time as people start filing in, and we're going to have a great time watching some football tonight. Mike, officially we got to make some scoreboard predictions. What are we going to see by midnight tonight? What is going to be the score of that game?
I think it's going to be 30-17, Indiana. 30-17 in favor of the Hoosiers.
Never close.
No, I think fourth quarter, Indiana and Mendoza find a way to pull away a little bit. I do think Indiana is going to dominate the line of scrimmage, though, throughout the game. But I think Dante Moore actually has a pretty decent game up until probably the last 8 minutes of the game where I see Indiana moving out by 2 scores.
I think it's going to be a defensive-minded game. I think points are going to be hard to come by early. 13-6 halftime score. A lot of halftime score. Halftime. And then I think towards the latter part of the game, that's where Indiana will start having a couple breakthrough plays. I'm going to go final score there as a – if my thing is 13, I'm going to go 27-13. 27-13 final score. Actually, no, excuse me, 27-20. I was going 20.
Yeah, so one
27-20, and then I think you'll get a couple touchdowns towards the second half. 27-20 is my final score. 13-6 halftime score.
Yep, and
so I'll give 2 there.
I also want to say, all right, listen, I'm Doc Al, Men's Only Medical. We're on a weight nutrition program, but tonight's not one of those nights, okay?
No,
I'm going to eat.
There's going to be food out there. There's going to be food
I'll tell you what,
there.
Colin and I are going to be putting on a display at this food tonight.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the game tonight. Enjoy the weekend of games. You got a lot to look forward to. You get Saturday Tailgate tomorrow morning with Mike Rizzo and Damian Perez. That is at 9 a.m. You get Sunday Huddle, a special edition live from the parking lot of Everbank Stadium for the Jaguars-Bills, 10-12. You can watch that and listen to it here on ESPN 106.3 and watch it on ESPN South Florida on YouTube and ESPN West Palm on Twitter and Facebook. Big thanks to Damian Perez and Christian Catt for keeping us up over the airwaves today. Stay tuned because you're going to be able to listen to some high-quality football right here on ESPN 106.3 throughout the weekend. Thanks, Mike Rizzo. Colin Russo here. We're saying so long. This has been Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Does your business leave a lasting impression? Attractive, eye-catching signs help you stand out from the crowd and create a strong brand identity. Our team at Signorama West Palm are experts in helping your business get noticed and get effective signage in front of your potential customers. Our team can turn your blank windows or plain vehicles into money-making branding machines by drawing customers' attention to to your business. So if you're looking to leave that lasting impression, call us 561-687-7993 or visit signoramawpb.com.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members